a authentication thingy.
Something like that. I hit the button again. Let's see what happens. No,
Yeah.
I don't think it's an auto. It's just. I would say
There
it's
it is.
bad design.
Okay, I
It
think
should
we're live.
work now. So with the last link there was a different stream key for whatever reason, but now we should be good and we should be live.
We're live.
Nice. Okay, we finally made it. Welcome to the podcast. So it starts with exactly the same chaos as last time. A little bit just in a different way. So we are late, about 2 hours, and we had a little bit less technical difficulties. So yeah, that's good, I guess. But we have 3 people today. That's the good news.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't really thought about what to start, and I'm a fan about just go in there. And last time the stream started with just, well, not sure if we are even streaming and going from there. And so I would like to do the same thing. We still have some topics in the back in case, but yeah, we are not sure. What do you have anything you want to talk about, or you just want to say? It doesn't have to be a topic, could also be something that happened to you in the last week, funny story or bullshit or something you want to rant about or whatever. Let's start like this.
I could start just like a non-controversial subject, just to get us warmed up.
I'm joking.
I've been playing Astroneer with some friends, and it's just this really chill science fiction kind of Minecraft kind of game. More of like, it looks more like a preschool kind of game because it's like cell shaded and like there's a lot of detail. And what you do is you start off on a planet, like not Earth, but a Earth-like planet. You go and look around for resources. You build up your base. Like your base is like these little tables, and on top of the tables go like crafting stations, and it's all connected through power. And so like you don't, of course, like with games like Minecraft, you don't start off with much, just enough to get you going, and then as you find more research and you do resources, then you do research to unlock new stuff. Then you can build newer crafting stations and vehicles and stuff like that. Like you expand what you can do. So we started yesterday, a new save, 2 friends, and I was kind of teaching them the ropes. And now, last night we got to a new planet, the moon of the starting planet, and then we finally got back, and like we're like figuring out what we want to do now. So it's really like there's no like enemies, no one shooting at you, no things to destroy. It's just kind of really relaxed. Explore this world, build your base as you see it. There's no rush, no timer. And it's I find a very nice way to like kind of just chill out all the world. And it's not just like 2020, but it's like I've been playing this for a couple of years. And
I remember that I watched your stream when you were playing that in early access, and I was making a lot of jokes about your expensive Mars rover falling through the planet or something like that.
Yeah. Like on the early access, like what happens if I was hosting the game and someone got in a vehicle and they got out, they would like fall through the world sometimes, and just stuff like that, and people will get stuck in space and stuff like that, and it's just pretty.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, it kind of, you've got to exit and come back into the game to fix it, but we haven't seen a lot of that since another friend is hosting it. Like it's been pretty stable.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta admit, with early access, you gotta expect that there are bugs, but I also hate such things, and I always feel like even though I stopped playing early access games, I have 2 talents, and the one is running in single linear games, and the other one is finding bugs in games that are totally finished and polished, accidentally, obviously. Like getting stuck in the wall of Doom, in Doom, and stuff like that. So yeah, I always thought I would be a good beta tester, but I would be a strange one because I just play the game and not play the same part every time again to find all the bugs. I just find them by accident the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like you're not actually hunting them, but you do find them anyways.
They hunt me. That's the story. Bugs are hunting me. I don't know why. It's been always like that.
So, like, you say that there are no enemies, and there's like it. Like to me, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what do you do then? Like,
Yeah.
Same.
There are some plants that'll attack you, but they don't like chase you or anything like that. It's
ah,
really just like you're in this little world and you're just kind of building your own your home or whatever. Um, you go out and you look for like materials such as resin and compound and use those materials to build your base. And you could build vehicles just to drive around. It's really like a
hmm,
very relaxed kind of game. We're used to video games being like, oh, you've got to kill all these people before they kill you, et cetera, et cetera. This is just a very,
yeah.
very relaxed kind of game.
Or like with Minecraft, there's the whole survival part of the night
Yeah,
where
yeah,
you have to hurry and get the shelter done before night or something. So,
yeah, yeah. So it's in Minecraft terms, it's more like creative mode, but it's not exactly creative mode. They
mm,
have a creative mode in Astroneer where you have all the resources that you could want, all the power you could want. Like they give you everything. It's just literally you don't have to go out and find anything. You're given to it. If you just want to build a base without having to spend the time to go look for the stuff. But there's something kind of relaxing about like tunneling through the world and finding
I
like finding aluminum or something like that and bringing it back.
it's interesting. So I
Mm-hmm.
gotta admit, so I haven't played Minecraft. So all the exploration crafting games that I played, I wasn't interested at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I also haven't played Minecraft. But so for me, this feeling, well, it have been different games through the years. Um, but at the moment they are mostly roguelike card games, so like Slay the
Yeah.
Spire stuff, so that I can
Yeah.
play without too much thinking an hour and I'm fine. Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting how different it is for different persons, what they can get into, and also how
Mm-hmm.
this stuff changes. We talked about it sometimes. How, I mean, we are all playing games for a long time, and how the taste in games changes
Mm-hmm.
from time to time.
yeah.
So I
Or
remember
it
I was the
broadens.
yeah, depends. Different for every person, obviously. I was the
Yeah.
biggest RPG guy back then into all, and I still would like to get into, but it's harder for me to really dive into it. So I tend to play more platformers these days
Mm.
because they are more straight and simple. And I still want to like RPGs, but always when I get a new big one like Divinity Original Sin 2.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really get into it, and I think it's mostly due to just don't having like back then. So back then I was really, when I, for example, I don't know, I was in school and I had free 6 week during the summer, and I was being inside and playing Baldur's Gate, yeah, stuff like that. So I would really be
Mm-hmm.
able to dive into that, and was all my free time I was into that game. And these days that's hard. It doesn't work anymore like that, and I can't dive that deep during
Mm.
that first. Maybe it will work sometime again. I hope so. But for me, that's a little bit what changed. And I always wanted to get back in, and I asked myself, so what is that? Am I getting tired of gaming? Till I then
Yeah.
found out, okay, oh no, I like other games more now for
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
whatever
not
reason.
an existential crisis, it's just your
No.
taste.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, so I just googled Astroneer, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I just cannot get over when I saw it under pictures was like there's like a guide on how to make a portable oxygenator. That sounds so
Mm-hmm.
fucking cool.
Yeah.
Have you made
Because
one of those?
no, that's one of the like kind of the last things you can make. It's really
Mm,
kind of it takes a long time to get to that research. And part of Astroneer is that you have a certain amount of oxygen in your tank and a certain amount of power.
mm,
And when you go off the base, if you're not attached to tethers, you start using up your oxygen. All you need to do is just come back to base. It'll fill it up for you.
mm,
So there's a bit of a danger there of like, oh, you run off a cliff and you're sliding down and you can't get back to base, and
mm, yeah.
your oxygen's running out and stuff like
Or
that.
falling
So
through the planet.
yeah.
The biggest danger these worlds, falling through the planet.
And you can take fall damage too. So there you can kill yourself, but but like there's no one coming to kill you.
It's not Ricochet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
know? Do you know Ricochet? Ricochet was a game that was included with the original Half-Life game, and basically
yeah.
you threw frisbees at each other, tried to, what's the word, decapitate each other
Oh,
with
I
the
see.
frisbees.
Oh,
It's a really simple game in the Half-Life one engine, and yeah, obviously you had to play it on LAN back then, not for that long, but a little bit, cause, well, reasons, like the same reasons you were playing Mortal Kombat back then,
oh
Yeah.
God.
obviously. Do you know Mortal Kombat, Susan?
Yeah, I haven't played it myself, but
Yeah, okay. So I don't know if this is was a typical boys thing or not, but in my region at least, all the boys played Mortal Kombat and were, I know how that finisher works and stuff like that, and all the
I mean, to be honest, like when I was getting into games, I was like very young because like my dad had that video game store. Like that's why we have all the retro games, and so like I wasn't allowed to play all these scary games. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting. Like a couple of years ago, to go through all these games that my dad have kept from when he couldn't maintain the store, because like suddenly I realized, wait, what the fuck, Doom was on 64, what?
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
I found it in the in the attic. So like there's a lot of I suppose gaming history. I kind of have, well, obviously haven't been able to what do you call that,
I don't know,
experience, because I
relive
was
maybe,
too
or
young. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm
experiential.
happy that my mom didn't allow me to play Doom on 64 when I was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean there are obviously certain reasons, and they make sense.
yeah.
Some make sense, some don't make sense at all. So I mean, in Germany is a good example for that, because we still have a lot of game on the index and on the games on the. So there are different kinds, different lists on the index, and some it's even a crime to own the game. And so back then, before there were digital game stores, you could buy them in stores, but most won't sell them because it only goes with a lot of problems. And then you would have to go there, and they will sell them under the normal counter, and you have to ask, do you have blood? And then it's like, yeah, okay, show me your ID.
Oh,
And
wow.
you could buy them, but obviously these days, where maybe out of 100 games, maybe one will come out physically, if at all. Probably that's even exaggerated, so it will be 1 out of 1,000 or something like that. The shops just block then the games then in the whole for a certain region, and a lot of games in Germany, some were blocked obviously for for real reasons, like, I don't know, do you know Manhunt, for example? So
Yeah,
for
that's like where you hunt like people and you like put a bag over their head and strangle them or something like that, or you beat
yeah,
them up, stuff like that.
stuff like that. So some were obviously on the index because of cruelty, or Kingpin,
Yeah.
Soldiers of Fortune, games like that. But there have also been a lot of games in Germany. There's a law against symbols that are connected to the Nazi regime, basically, especially the swastika. So
Yeah.
all the Wolfenstein games, for example. I mean, I played them back then, but then afterwards they all came onto this list because they have that symbols, and it was a little bit. So in some reasons it was stupid because they wouldn't look at in what context something is shown. They just
Right,
changed it,
right.
I think, 1 year ago. So just 1 year ago they changed it so they look at the context, and it was a bit stupid because they made a difference between movies and games. So in movies it was allowed if in the context it was shown and they weren't glorifying, these symbols and what they did and stuff like that. But in games they wouldn't make a difference and just ban all of them. So
Yeah.
that usually led to the shops banning them for Germany, or the publishers having to make a different version for Germany,
Yeah,
especially, which
German
obviously
version.
was pretty bad, because if if you sell globally the same version, I don't know how many times, and then you sell 3% of that in Germany and have to make an own version. If you even dare to make an own version, you basically just cut out stuff.
Yeah.
So that was pretty bad, and there are still games. The rules are pretty stupid. So it's like when a game is on the index, the developer, or not the developer, the one who has the rights has to come at them and say, and they can do that after 15 or 20 years, hey, check my game again. But obviously nobody does that, because after 15 to 20 years nobody sells their game anymore. So why should they write them a letter, please do that again, and all that stuff? So it never happens. So we still have games that are too brutal to be played, that are the Commodore 64, where they had this one pixel. So it's a little bit a stupid system here.
But are they like literally illegal to own then? Like,
well, there are different lists. So there's one list, they are not, so it's kind of stupid. So they are not illegal to, they are just illegal to be advertised, and they are illegal to be shown. So you weren't even allowed to stream them or make a YouTube video about them if you are German. But you can obviously look at them all over YouTube, because not everybody is German. So also that doesn't make sense really. But there's also another list, and on the other list there are these games. Well, I have to look that up before I say something wrong. But back then I was pretty sure that on the other list, the games you are not allowed to even own. On the other hand, nothing happens. There won't be a police raid coming to your house and saying, you own this game. Go out. We will look through your whole house to find the game and burn it.
Right.
But yeah, I guess the main part then is that it should not be something that big retailers distributed. Is like the point of that list.
Yeah, so it's basically 3 parts. It's basically violence, 3 parts that lead to it: violence, the glorifying of war, and I mean there are tons of war games that glorify war, obviously, and pornography. So and all that by the way, they are doing all that to keep our youth safe. And I can tell you what this leads to, because I grew up back then, when this was bigger than today. This leads to all the games on the index being exchanged on the schoolyard, because they are the most interesting, because they want us to play that game. Do you have that game? Yeah, sure.
Right.
So, and these days there's even internet, so it's a lot easier than back then, because back then, so I had a friend in school, before, I mean, during my school also there were burners after a time, and it was like, okay, when somebody has a new game, everybody burns it, give them a empty CD so they can burn it on it. But before, I also had one friend, and he was Polish, and we were also in Poland, and they had a list basically where they could choose new games, and they would be delivered on burned CDs to their home. That was in the 90s. I found that pretty funny back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also still in Spain, where I lived at the time, there were people going through the bars with burned DVDs of movies. Mostly they were not the most actual movies, but still, yeah.
The bootleg, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Susan, like, what are some of the violent games that you weren't allowed to play as a kid that you played as an adult? I guess maybe, or some that you would have, like, that you played an adult that you say you shouldn't have played as a kid, or something like that. You're glad that you didn't play as a kid.
Well, I mean, all of these like violent games or whatever that I found
Mm-hmm.
from my retro box on the attic,
Yeah.
I haven't played them yet, because there's been
Uh,
so many other things. Like my Steam list is too full of games. But
yeah.
one thing I do find, I don't know, interesting or whatever, or funny, is that like I started playing games like let's say Heroes of the Storm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when my mom comes to talk with me or something and she sees that, or if she's seen me play World of Warcraft or something, she's like, "Oh my god, that's so ridiculous. Why are you playing something violent like that?" or something.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. Because like I can see how she would think that it's violent, because she's not used to, like, she doesn't know what a more violent game looks like what if I showed her stuff like some of the real big horror games like
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
uh
just a game where you'll be evil. So I mean, I remember how
yeah.
big it was back then. So for me, it was there have been games before, I guess, but Dungeon Keeper back then. I think it came out '95,
Oh yeah,
and
because you're playing as a bad guy.
yeah, you're playing it as a bad guy, and this was also the reason why they were discussing in Germany to put it on the index and ban it, and at the end
Mm.
it got out at 18. So, and yeah, I remember that I played it at a, well, my neighbor, so basically, um, the guy she was together with at that time, he was a lot older than me, but he was cool. We always played Super Nintendo together, and he was our master in pen and paper, the Dark Eye and stuff like that. And well, they separated back then, but I had still contact with him, and I played Dungeon Keeper at his house. So he was basically the cool guy for me, the
Mm.
guy
Hmm.
that has money and his own PC, and
Like
yeah.
freedom to do what he wanted to do with
Yeah,
all that
he
stuff.
had ripped out a car seat and put it as his desk chair, basically, and he
Oh
was also playing
damn, that's
racing games and stuff.
cool.
So that was pretty rad for me back then.
Yeah,
Then
that
I played
sounds
the game
rad.
back there, and I really wanted the game. So and then yeah, when I wanted to buy the game, and I think it was like, I don't know, I think it was like 40 Deutsche Mark back then, which today would probably be 80. Today it would be 20 euro, but that's not real, rather. So prices kind of
Mm.
changed. Anyway,
Yeah.
and my mom was like, okay. So my dad was, yeah, what the fuck, I don't care. And my mom was like, no, that's 18, and that's cool. And you play the bad guy, and I had to convince her then, which I
But
did.
that's like a strategy game, isn't it?
It's a strategy game, yeah.
Like
So
a tower
yeah,
defensey kind of thing.
it's
Yeah.
basically you have a dungeon, and you attract monsters that you train, and you hit them, and you feed
Oh,
them
you
with.
hit them.
Yeah, you hit them to do stuff faster. So when they're doing something bad, you
Oh my
just hit them.
god.
You have a big hand, and with them you can pick them up and drop them somewhere or hit them.
Yeah.
And you feed them with chickens, and
Live
um,
chicken or
a live chicken. You buy the you build a chicken coop, and then they go in there and take them. You can just take a chicken and put it in there, no matter how. And then there are good guys coming in your dungeon to kill you, and you have to kill the good guys, and that's the sense of the game. You have to
mm,
beat all the good guys, and this was
yeah.
pretty revolutionary back then, because you always were able to play the good guy and have a
Yeah. The
mostly
whole
have a happy
hero
ending and
kind
stuff like
of
that. Yeah, and that's why
mentality.
this was so special. And I can understand kinda if people really don't know this while playing something so violent. On the other hand, um, you have to differentiate between, well, real violence and fictional violence, obviously.
Right.
Also, also, and also violence is something that's there the whole time in a lot more cruel way than that.
Hmm. I guess
Um,
like when it comes to something like Dungeon Keeper, I did see you play it on your stream once, I
yeah,
think. And like when you're saying the thing with like the beating to make them go faster and stuff, and like seeing the whole like hellish looks of it, it kind of makes me think that it's more meant as a joke, right? Like yeah, it's a
it
joke,
was,
and it's within this kind of idea of it being a joke. It's not being too serious about itself,
it,
and
Right.
so I think it does make sense with like the age thing, in my opinion, mainly because like you have to be able to differentiate that. You have to
yeah,
be old enough to understand that this is for funs and giggles,
yeah, sure,
and it's making
Yeah.
fun of all these kinds of things like references maybe to I don't know, religion or whatever, like all these kinds of bigger things it's taking into perspective. But also, as you also stated earlier, the fact that you can differentiate that this is something I'm doing with pixels and numbers on a PC, and nobody is getting hurt, compared to like somewhat mixing that up with reality and thinking, oh, I can do that to my friends in the schoolyard too, like something
Right,
like
right.
that. um
Yeah, I
but
agree on that.
it's an interesting thing when it comes to this age thing, because like as you also stated earlier with the whole schoolyard dealership,
Yeah,
like usually people find the way to get around it anyways. Like
yeah,
I've heard about the like probably not just one kid. I think a lot of GameStops around the world have been uh, experiencing that kid who goes in there with grandma who wants to give them a birthday gift, and they're like, "Oh, I want Gran Turismo 5 or something," and
Yeah,
they can like get it because grandma is above 18 and grandma doesn't know that it's violent, and
yeah.
grandma just wants to make the kid happy. And so
yeah,
what I like to hear in these stories is that these GameStop workers actually do take responsibility and say, maybe you should not get this thing for this kid. I mean, legally it's okay, but like,
right.
um, I think
I mean
that's
that
good
I
to
think I think the hard thing with ING, I agree in general. So obviously you have to be kind of certainly developed to a kind that you can understand and differentiate.
Mm,
But and it's also you have to put something on it so people kind of know where it goes. But
mm.
also obviously you can't put a label on things. So somebody will still at 18 be too stupid to be able to differentiate and try to play Tekken on his friends afterwards. Tekken
Yeah,
is a
yeah,
fighting
I
game.
totally agree on that.
And
Like,
so this is a
it's
hard
not.
thing, and obviously they have to put a label on it. But this
Mm,
is also a reason why I would say, okay, grandma knows. I don't know. I mean, maybe or maybe not. But
I mean, when a
you
12-year-old boy comes in wanting a hardcore game, I think it makes sense that the GameStop dude is like, maybe we should find something age appropriate for this
Yeah,
kid.
Yeah, I guess
But
they do it for other reasons. They do it because they are not allowed to sell games most of the
mm,
time. Obviously, there are maybe some moral guys, but I think most of the guys are thinking, well, I played Dungeon Keeper back then. Wait, how old is he? How brutal is the game? So
mm,
it kind of depends. So, but
yeah,
I'm just saying that from a German standpoint, and I told you before what games are banned by us and for what reasons. So I'm more liberal when it comes to that. But I agree
yeah.
that to a certain time. But I would also still say that a grandma or mother, not in all cases, but in the best case, knows better how far her son is to understand or not understand the game. And there are also there goes other stuff with that. So
I mean, I totally agree that a parent would be able to take or should be able to take responsibility there. I just think a grandma, like grandmas, are just known for being innocent,
yeah,
good-willed ladies, and when it comes to games, I don't think they know much about it. So I think it was just a very clear exploit of grandma being the grandma she is.
have you guys watched movies back then that you were not allowed to watch, like horror movies? So
yeah.
I, for example, like Freddy Krueger or stuff like that.
Not no, not really. I mean, I like I'm gonna go out and say like just publicly here, I am like just a chicken. So like I my entire life I've just been a chicken. So I was never really seeking out all those scary things. I was just like, yeah, no, I'm too small for that. That's so sad, eh? And on the inside I was just happy I didn't have to see it. But like I
Yeah.
remember when I think it must have been Lord of the Rings or something like that when that was released, and I was very young. And like I remember, especially the boys in my school, they were like all hyped about it, and I was just like, but we're too small for this. And then there were some of the like girls who were like into fantasy and like I don't know, Harry Potter and stuff. Like at least one of those girls, she was also like bragging a lot, like, "Oh, I'm allowed to watch this shit," and I was just once again, I was just like, I don't have the need to watch this. Like, my mom says it's scary, so
but
so
but but
I don't.
I gotta admit, after you're telling me that your mom saw it, I mean, I don't really play the Heroes of the Storm game, but I know there's comic graphic like the
Yeah,
Warcraft
yeah,
stuff. So
definitely.
I think she is also chicken a little
Yeah.
bit. I
Like,
assume at
but
least.
on the other hand, she hasn't been like exposed to that kind of stuff. It's kind of the
Yeah,
same. Like
that's the
I've
reason
been a big
probably. So to be honest,
I
obviously you kind of harden up if you see such stuff. Not saying that it is a good or a bad thing, but it's just if you see something, if you have to see, I don't know, good or bad stuff for a certain time, obviously it impacts you less. That's pretty
exactly.
obvious.
And I think like I guess my mom, she just like when it comes to games, like she has this overall view of it being like she thinks that everything is just you just have to shoot or kill everything that moves and then you win. And like I kind of get why she has that idea of it. By the way, Brigand wants to be dragged back into our
Oh,
conversation.
oh, so thanks for saying it. I'm. Right. Oh,
It.
okay.
There we
Really
go.
professional. Yeah, thanks for mentioning it, Susan. So the thing is, when I stream, Discord puts me in the streamer mode,
Oh,
so I don't see the
yeah, the
pings.
streamer mode thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long
Um,
have you been away, Brigand?
it's been
Sorry.
like two minutes.
You had asked if you had seen any movies you weren't supposed to as a kid,
Oh
and
yeah.
Susan said
Okay.
she was a chicken, and and when I cut out, I was saying that yeah, I was unsupervised a lot as a kid,
Oh.
and even at night I was able to watch like Freddy Krueger and Jason movies and all that.
Mm.
But like even at that time, and this is different for different people, but I felt that I was able to distinguish that, oh, I'm watching a movie. I didn't know what actors in screenplays and cameras and production was at the time, but I knew it was just all what I was watching was fake. It wasn't real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like
was
that
able
it's
to
just
tell the
fiction.
difference between watching a movie and watching the news. So I
Yeah.
wasn't really affected, I don't think,
Mm.
myself.
I mean, I don't even know if I would be affected. I guess like the times where I have been watching, or like maybe someone at school told me, like basically in those years where you were too young to watch all these scary things, but then someone at school is like, "Oh, have you heard about Bloody Mary?" And then
Yeah, yeah.
like what happens or what happened to me was basically if I had been staying up late gaming or something and had to go to bed on my own and like you're standing there in front of the mirror brushing your teeth and you're like just the compulsive thoughts of like oh bloody mary and it's like oh my god you shouldn't say that in your head or whatever and like it starts to freak you out and you're like what's
So
is there anything behind the door or something it's just that mind-boggling thing and in the end I guess I knew it's just an urban legend or whatever but it's kind of that kind of freakish stuff i
Yeah.
I don't think
one
I've had
question.
any real nightmares or whatever. Like, I think the worst nightmares I've had was after watching the second Harry Potter movie. Also, by the way, I'm never watching that again willingly because of all the spiders and that
Oh my
big
god.
giant spider. Like, I just could not stand it. It was so horrible. And like I'm sure that if I watch it again now, I'll be totally fine. But it's just like it's just
Yeah,
so stuck
that's
with
bad
me.
conditioning. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just stuck with me, that movie. It's just no.
One question with Bloody Mary. I don't know that movie. So if you say Bloody Mary, something is supposed to happen. If you say that in a mirror, or what?
Like I don't think they watched a movie. It's just this urban legend about I don't know, was it her kid? There's something weird. Like I don't even seriously, I just forgot it because I don't
Yeah, okay, it's
care.
all good.
Like I learned to
Yeah, it's all
ignore
good.
those thoughts.
I
But it's
only know
something
Bloody Mary
about
to drink. It's fine.
but it's basically something about saying her name while looking in the mirror and then she should
Okay.
like appear behind you and be all bloody and eat you or something
Oh my
something like
gosh.
that, you know?
Okay. Yeah,
Great kind of things to think about when it's dark and you have to go to bed on your own.
I want to read out the chat comment. If someone plays GTA and thinks because of that, oh, I can crash into a crowd with a car, because I can also do it in GTA, then he clearly has a whole other level of a problem. I agree.
Yeah, like, but on the other hand, like, haven't you heard about that kid? Like, I mean, I'm sure it's not one thing only, but like I've heard about a kid who got into like a police car chase. Well, it was basically because he was a kid in a car, and like the police chased him and stuff, and
Makes
like it
sense.
was so insane. Like this guy was like what 6 years old? I don't know, maybe 9. He was not old enough to have a driver's license at least. And
Yeah.
and like when the police then finally caught up with him and asked him like, where the fuck did you learn to like drive? The kid was like, oh, I learned that on my PlayStation.
Well, that's not bad. I mean, how far did he
I
get?
mean,
Right?
that's insanely awesome, yes, but on the other
So
hand, there's a big
I
problem in not
I
being
didn't
able to think,
think,
oh, I should have a license.
yeah, but I didn't think that it was such a good driving school. I gotta admit
Yeah. I
that.
don't know, like maybe it was one of those where you have like pedals and
Yeah,
wheel
yeah,
turn. What are
whatever.
they called?
But I gotta say, in this case, what we talked before, obviously there have to be limits and a certain
Yeah.
kind. But if you're older and still do such things, then it wouldn't happen to you to never play the game. You would do
Mm.
stupid stuff nonetheless.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like that. This is like people watching reality TV and the TV and then thinking that's real. So.
Mm. Yeah, like it's no different from that. It's just an interactive uh movie or whatever. Like you're still like being entertained or like you're still like there should be something very wrong with your brain if you do not realize that those are not actual people. They're just pictures of people.
What's interesting is where all this things kind of get into an interesting different world is social media, because in social media it's I said that before. I used ICQ back then and IRC, but yeah, I used Discord, but that's basically it. But I think that's probably, so if a child these days is the whole time on something like, I don't know, some social stuff, Facebook, Instagram and stuff, I get that it's a lot harder for them to differentiate than us back then, differentiating a game and reality, differentiating social media and reality, especially because there are other people that they know in real life. You know? Do
Like
you know what I
I
mean?
guess what you mean is that it's harder to realize that that's not the whole story because like the biggest problem with social media is that it really tears down people mentally because they see all these perfect lives of their friends and they feel like they can't measure up, but
Yeah, that's the case. But
nobody.
everything in that case. Not even not. That's one thing, one side, I would guess. But
Yeah.
everything you can do and say, and obviously you can just have a normal talk. Without social media, we wouldn't be able to do this podcast. So I
Mm.
wouldn't say it's a bad thing in generally. But I think, not sure. I mean, I don't have children or stuff, but I think if you grew up these times and you have a child that's kind of addicted to social media and tends to use most of his time in there, it's kind of harder to differentiate from that not being real life. Because in the game there were pixels, and in social media there are people that are also in real life, but it's not real life. You understand? So
Yeah.
it's harder to differentiate because all the people that you know in real life have an account, and also the stars that you watch a movie have an account, and whatever, and all these are putting out stuff, but obviously, like you said, they are only putting out stuff that they want to put out, and maybe they're putting
Yeah.
out stuff with an agenda because they want more views or want sensation stuff. Maybe there are people who only put out good stuff because they want to spread a positive thing, but it's always not real life. It's always something that people to, I mean, they design before what they want to share. Obviously, there are also people who are just so into it that they are just doing everything on there, probably, I
Yeah.
assume. but I don't think that's healthy. And that's just what I meant. So because I think this is interesting, because I assume, but as I said, I've never really been into it, so kind of new to social media. But I assume, as I said before, with games, it's easy to differentiate. And also back then there was multiplayer, but multiplayer was LAN, so you have to meet up and be in the same room to play together. And these days, yeah, it's cool that it's so easy, but it's probably also harder for especially younger children to differentiate, and there's no age restriction on social media. Not that I'm saying I want an age restriction on social media, I'm just trying to connect the topics.
I do think there is age restriction. Isn't there like 13?
Yeah, but it's like on all those things. I mean, I think it's like on YouTube. You can put in whatever age you want. It's not like
sure. You can totally just sign up with a fake age, of course.
And I assume when you look up who's using this stuff, it depends on what social media. I think Facebook are now using older people more. I mean, I look at my parents and they discovered Facebook maybe 3 years ago, and now they are posting in groups and doing stuff, and I'm happy that I'm not on Facebook. I gotta admit that when my dad told me he liked that one, and the guy from who was once worked there now does this and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know them. Do you know them? No, but they posted this on Facebook, you know. It's just like and they live near me, so it's like, okay, and do you want to do yoga now? Because they are doing yoga course? No? Okay.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because like on a tangent there, we're of the three of us are the age that we're familiar with social media. I mean, before there's Facebook, there was MySpace, there's ICQ, AIM, MSN, you know, all these different networks and stuff like that. And we've had enough experience to understand that, like what we're saying, that we can understand that the person on the other side could either be lying to us, or they could be just telling us the good stuff, like, oh, I ran 5 miles today, or man, I had a great day, I had a great breakfast, and you know, was playing with the kids or whatever. They're just posting the good stuff, right? But then everyone has, you know, like their downswing, like, oh, like everything's going wrong, so this and that, and like and that's part of the reason we don't want kids to be on social media, because they don't quite understand that yet. They're not quite mature, like we were saying with the games. Like you have to be mature enough to understand the game is just, it's pretend. It's no actual person's getting hurt in a video game. It's just all digital.
It's hard, and it's easy to get overfilled with information of a certain kind or a certain picture on social media. Yeah.
But now that Fools mentions it, it's funny because we're at the age where we know better. Like we know to, you know, I don't know how you say it, like, but like when someone's telling you something on social media, you can maybe think maybe they're lying or maybe they're exaggerating or something like that. But kids wouldn't know it. But now that Fools mentions it, we also have to worry about our parents getting on social media, because they might have not grown up with the internet, even though it was there. They just didn't take part in it, and so they might think, oh, this person, this group, this other like parents in Germany, oh, their lives are fantastic and their kids love them and all this, like, but it could just all be a lie. And it's funny that we have to worry about our parents like falling into the same trap.
That's really true. I had to mention, honestly, like, okay, do you want to, are you joking, or why are you angry at something somebody wrote that you don't know?
Right.
If you make that part of your life and you're angry about it, you're stupid. You're wasting your time. Stuff like, on the one hand, stuff like that. On the other hand, what was funny, so when it started, my parents were sending me funny pictures that I saw 20 years ago. And I was like, and I said to my mom, if you keep sending me these, I have to block you. And then she stopped. But, you know, it's like, I mean, it's cool. I haven't said anything to, obviously, when my father started to getting angry about stuff about how stupid is he posted that, I mentioned that, dude, it doesn't make sense to be angry about something that's not part of your life. You read it, so it's your choice to read it and get angry, so that's your wasted time. That's stupid. And
Yeah.
yeah, but if somebody's never been in touch with that and gets in it for the first time, I can feel that it's a little bit overwhelming. I mean, I remember, even though I was a lot younger, how it was for me. So I, for example, remember that I was an IRC and I had a lot of IRC channels, and it started because of me playing Counter-Strike, and we had a clan and we had an IRC channel, but also the people living here in my area had an IRC channel. So when we go out playing football or stuff, we write, okay, I will go there now, we are there, so somebody can see it and stuff. And I, for example, when the World Trade Center collapsed with the plane, I was an IRC. And that was pretty interesting how this unfolded there. So, you know, tons of people spreading the news because they're probably were before television stuff. And yeah, that was interesting. So obviously you have to experience how stuff work in this world. And I also had an ICQ account and I had a MySpace account. So I also told you that I made a rap album which came out, I think, 11 years ago or something like that. And we had a MySpace page and people would write us there. Yeah. So these are my social media experiences. But I think if you had never had anything like this, and then you get into it when you are 65, then it's totally a different thing, especially if you are just entering a different phase of your life. A phase of not working, having more time, and looking where you put your time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it still depends on whether or not you have been using the internet before, because, like, if you are used to the internet, you know about ads and you know about all kinds of shit. And, like,
Right.
to some extent, when you have that much life experience, we also, all of us, can agree on, we know that it's not that normal for people to meet up, like two friends to meet up, have some coffee, and just start talking about how bad they're doing. Like, there's like this facade happening in real life too.
Yeah.
I do agree that it's too exaggerated on social media, but it must stem from somewhere inside of us already, right? But like I don't think I was like, I guess I'm that bit younger than you two, because I did fall into that at least the Facebook image competition trap thing.
Yeah.
Like, I did try, like, I didn't stay in the competition for long, and I guess, like, because I'm like this kind of, like, I've always been an outcast, bullied and stuff. Like, I was always the weird one. And so when that competition started and I tried my best at, like, participating or seeing how many likes I could get or whatever, like, at some, like, very early on, I was just like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
what's it even doing for me? And I kind of turned it upside down and started writing weird shit instead, just to mess with it.
Yeah,
Just be
that's
like,
interesting.
just provocative shit. Not
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's at the age of 12, provocative things. More like, oh, I just ate a banana, or some weird boring shit like that, right? It didn't get any attention either, but it was kind of my way of being like, fuck this shit, right? Like, I'm
Now I'm
not.
getting edgy. If I don't fit in there, now I'm getting edgy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from, I think.
But I really early on, at least, called on to this is not worth it. But it's been a thing in the news here in Denmark also lately. But, like, I remember a couple of years ago, they were talking at the, like, in the news, about how, like, for these young kids, I don't know, 10 years old or whatever, having social media was like having a full-time job on the side of their life, right?
Yeah.
Because it did affect them that much with stress and, like, having to keep up and stay updated and all kinds of shit.
And I
And
guess this thing is. Sorry, go on.
no, but mainly just that I can totally see how that works. Like, because if that is your focus, and if everything you do, you have to kind of put a twist on it, or tell yourself that this is important, or like every time you sit down to relax, you have to take a picture of how relaxed you are, or whatever. Like suddenly it's not relaxing anymore, and you're just ruining it for yourself, but you're doing it to keep up with this whole social media thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it gives you a stimulation now that it's not as clear as a game, because the other people are also there, even though they are not really there, and they are also just posting what they want or showing what they
It's a whole
want. It's like
game.
you get it. It's like, okay, 7 people. It's like, okay, 7 people like me,
Mm.
but obviously it doesn't. It's not really important if 7 people like that you eat a banana or not.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
important thing is, okay, does it did it taste good? Are you hungry anymore? So it's like, yeah, it's like, I think it's shaped kind of, it's like a new dimension shaped for that people also care, because it has a psychological twist, because you get attention from people, and you also, there's like, okay, maybe someone, people assume I'm just, so I'm not really into that stuff. So if you like something, people think, okay, they really like it, and maybe it's a love if they put it in a heart and stuff like that. So it's a little, you get feelings from that stuff.
Yeah.
Even though it's not real, you get kind of the real feelings, and that's also why it's even easier for children, I think, to get kind of addicted to it, to be okay. I
And it's
I
a very tangible thing because there's a number. Like it's very obvious that if someone got 50 likes and your picture got 3, it's
Right.
quite
You're more
clear
pretty.
because like Facebook, or like I'm just saying Facebook now because that's the one that I'm thinking about, because
Mhm.
that was the one that happened, like this whole image race happened on, for me at least. um the competition thing. um but like there it doesn't really highlight so much who liked it. Like you don't see the list of 50 people, like that would also not make sense when it comes to like the look of the whole page. But it kind of it compresses a person's reaction to just a number, and
Yeah,
then when enough people have pressed that icon or clicked that icon, then it's just that one icon and then a number, right? Instead of understanding that, like, of course there's a big difference between 50 people clicking a button and 3 people doing it. But on the other hand, you also have to think like who did it and how much do they mean it? Like how much do I mean it when I find something I find beautiful on Instagram or whatever and like it? Like I just double tap it because I think, "Oh, that's awesome," and then I scroll on. I move on to the next
yeah,
thing. "Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome too," and I double tap it, right?
yeah,
And I think, like, as you also said with, like, the hearts and the choice of what icon do they choose, you can put a lot of meaning into it, and when in reality maybe there isn't that much meaning. Like you can start like having all these kinds of thoughts and feelings about things you have no idea where stem from originally.
yeah. And that's mostly because there's a level missing. So there's this,
Yeah.
when you have a direct communication, you see somebody, and maybe you see if somebody is genuine, and also if you
Yeah.
maybe don't see something, or if you think something is strange, if you feel good, you will ask that person, hey, don't you like that, or what's the matter, or stuff like that. And obviously, you can't do that with a heart
but
and
but
a
it's
thing
the
like
right.
that, but you still have the same thoughts,
Hmm. But
maybe.
it's like the right word to use, genuine, because like I remember, like I had a friend, and I guess you would say let's like we were like declared official best friends, girlfriends, you know. And I lived in the shadow of her, and she was like picture perfect. So Facebook
Hmm.
was perfect for her, like um and I remember it kind of became this weird thing where I would think, oh, she didn't like my new profile photo. And so when she put up something new, a new profile photo, I would hesitate to actually like it because I was like, well, you're not supporting me, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
And so there's also that kind of weird social interaction happening, right? Like to some extent you kind of have to keep your all your friends, like you have to stay updated on what they do and like keep your, what do you call that, like you have to keep all the points and positivity going, but that's impossible too. Like obviously, like I've been semi private on Facebook. Like I don't just have people as friends just because I want a big number of friends. That's a whole other way of seeming popular on Facebook, in my opinion. Like people with like 500 or thousands of friends. And like I also in the younger age was like, oh my god, I only have 60 friends and this person has 300. They're so much more popular than me. But
Yeah.
like obviously they can't keep up with keeping these friendships like genuine or whatever. They
Yeah,
can't
there are no
stay.
friendships. It's just like, okay,
Yeah,
click.
exactly.
It's like somebody asking, coming into a channel, and like, okay, if I sub you, would you sub me too? And like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but it's kind of the same thing, right? Like it's just weird because like if we go back to like the 50 versus 3 likes, like I'm sure that the people who liked my photos, they were the real deal. Like they were real friends, right? And like the 50 people who liked her pictures, they just liked it because they were like, oh, maybe she'll like mine back later.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Like like
it's
obviously I'm not saying she didn't have real friends, but like maybe we could also put it the other another way and say like maybe 3 of them, just like my 3, were real, and then the other 47 were just fillers, right?
but
Um
also these days you don't even know what's real anymore. I mean, if you
yeah.
see stuff like Twitch viewbots, or I give you another example.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I got a lot of like advertisements for those bots.
yeah, that also. But recently I found out in the so in on German YouTube there were tons of videos that had millions of views on the first day, and you look and I click on the video and think, okay, what's this? Oh, it's music. Oh, it sounds horrible. And then look and okay, that's 200 comments and 3 million views in 8 hours, and it's
Mm.
top
Right.
top in the trends and stuff. And there are tons of stuff like this. It's the same like these Twitch bots. So these days there are tons of people, and it's really cheap to, I assume at least, maybe it's expensive, but I don't think so, because you can do it for a long time. I mean, these bots are coming a long time and asking, do you want to be famous? Get 1,000 followers for $1
Yeah,
and
that
stuff
one.
like that.
I've had so many messages from that one.
Yeah, so and these are all over, and you can do that on all platforms. And obviously these days, I mean, back then maybe it has been different, but these days there are a lot of businesses that are kind of, yeah. So people get deals when they have tons of followers, and there are even musicians. So we talked a lot about genuine stuff. So for example, let's take musicians. So there's one guy putting out a new song being in a trance. The song is total bullshit, but he has 3 million views and everybody's talking about him because how could he get there and stuff. And if somebody is a little bit looks into it and looks like, okay, it's fake, but he will still get talked about. And
Mm.
then there's another musician and he makes a cool song and he has no clue about YouTube, and he's generally a good musician and it's a cool song, but still the other one will have 1 million people watch it after he bought 2 million views, and the other one
Yeah.
will maybe have 40 genuine views, but still the other person will probably make bank out of that and he won't.
Mm.
That's a sad thing, but
Yeah. But it's just another way of like another example of how these numbers are what it actually what actually seem to count anyways, right?
I guess
And it's kind of
it's just
sad.
everything gets manipulated
Yeah.
to your own what's the word in English,
Like your own
to
game.
yeah, to your own gain. That's
Mm.
just it, I would say. So Brigham, have you ever bought 3 million views for a song you released that we never heard?
Wouldn't we know if he had? Like, would he even be hanging out with us like a fool and an idiot if he had that many views?
Yeah, I'm buying some bots for this podcast.
Oh,
Make it
that's
big.
the 4 people watching right now. I
Yeah.
see. I was confused about that.
Wait, we have 4 people watching. That's right. Okay.
Like 1 person and the 3 of us, right?
So yeah, so
Hello, fellow person.
it's the 3 of us in Drachenflamme. So that's
You're
it.
like our favorite person, Drachenflamme, just so you know.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. Last time we are 1 more than last time. So I mean,
Yeah, like, hello.
but also that's not really good. Yeah. So. Yeah, I think there
Okay,
was.
shout out to Drachenflamme, by the way. The boy, the legend, the dragon. The real deal.
So I kind of this is a real small thing and it goes somewhere in a totally different direction, but I just watched that yesterday, so I just want to bring it up, and I think it's nothing where there's so much you can talk about it, but who knows. So I watched the documentation yesterday. It was, I don't know, it was 20 minutes or something like that, so it wasn't really long. And it was on the internet, but it was on a television channel, which is called Arte. It's a French channel, but it also has German. I don't know if it's also there in English, but so I really hate television, but it's one of the few that I can recommend, honestly. So there's good art, there are good documentations and stuff. And yesterday the topic was, wait, how do I translate it? It's light pollution.
Oh, yeah, like when you want to watch the stars or something?
Yeah, it was basically, there were 2 people. There was one guy who was a scientist about, I think, biology and light and stuff like that, and how it infects the people and living beings. And the other guy was the biggest guy in the world that builds light systems in cities. And yeah, it was about these 2 people. It was pretty interesting. It was basically like showing off that humans and also other living beings need total darkness and really need them, and that how we grew up even with fear of the darkness, but we still need it. And these days it's like that in most cities there's light everywhere, and also there were some studies about so when there's always light in a city, the criminal rate goes down. And they were also showing a connection to the emancipation of women, because they were saying that women are more comfortable with walking outside if there's light on, no matter how. So this was in there. I don't know how true that is, but these were these 2 people, and I found it pretty interesting. And they were also talking about how different kinds of light, so light that has been used in earlier days and light now. So they found out like that they are basically harming. So the blue light is really bad for you, kinda, because I think you get less melatonin, which you use for sleeping. So that's the reason why for most people, when you are at the desk the whole time, it's harder to fall asleep afterwards. And it's why people say you shouldn't stare at your desk the whole time before going to sleep, or at least 1 hour before you go to sleep. Stop staring at the desk, because all the blue light, and you don't produce melatonin, which you need to have a good sleep. And the other thing, I have to translate that it harms, he said in that thing, was the Zwirbeldrüse. I have no clue. And this is something from the Zwirbeldrüse, is something that's supposed to be between your eyes, I think. And I know it from Buddhism and meditation, but it's like an energy cycle, but it's supposed to be. So I'm just
So,
between
like,
your
are
eyes,
we
something like
talking
that.
scientifically proven to be there, or are we talking spiritually feeling that it's there?
Well, to be honest, I thought it was something spiritual, but the scientists in that documentation said that.
Yeah.
But I can't.
Sounds interesting.
I don't even know how to translate that. Wait.
But I
Trying
mean,
to find a
it
translation.
it is well known that blue light, especially blue light, at least messes up our, what do you call that, biological clock.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I felt that myself. Like,
yeah,
I
me
bought
too.
some glasses, like
Oh,
yellow
it's
orangey glasses. I use.
1 second. It's called pineal gland or epiphysis, and
Mhm.
it's there, so it's a real thing.
Okay, so it is a thing.
Yeah, pineal gland. So it says it's anatomically this
It exists.
definition, so that means it exists, I guess.
Yeah.
So you bought some glasses that actually filter out the blue light?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I did.
me too.
And I do think they help. Well, not
I know,
think.
I know they have. I know they have. I bought them when I had my desk job, and so when I was working night shifts and sitting before that, really troubles. So obviously there was also the other problem of working at the night, and when I get home, it was dark when I work, and when I get home, so sun goes up and stuff like that. But also when you get home, obviously when you are like one of us, you maybe look into Discord or into some stuff,
Yeah.
and well, that doesn't help with getting tired. Well, I bought such glasses back then. I didn't know if they help, and they helped me with falling asleep. So I had a lot of problems with falling asleep after working or setting or being before the PC the whole time. And now I wear them when I'm on the PC in the evening, or some maybe even the whole time, but at least in the evening, most of the time the whole time I'm on the PC, and they really help. They really help. So I can go to sleep, and also they are they change the colors a little bit, but not drastically. You still see all the colors. Obviously, they are supposed to block the blue light, and it looks different when you look at it without it, but you can still see all the colors. But I have some, so there are differences between them. I think my block 98% of blue light.
I don't know how much mine block, but like, I kind of planned to use them before, like an hour before going to bed or something. But like, since I'm not at a work or education or whatnot right now, what I just decided to do was that I just put them on when I go to bed, because like I think we all know that feeling that you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna watch a YouTube video, and
Yeah.
like, to fall asleep to that, right? And so I kind of justify it now because I do wear these glasses, so it actually does make me tired.
Yeah,
Whereas if I weren't wearing those glasses, it would just wake me up more.
yeah,
But that really helps. And when it comes to like altering, what is it called, like colors and stuff, like I decided to go with like a keyboard on my smartphone that is very like it's high contrast, and so like some of the like main parts of the buttons are actually blue, and when I wear those glasses they're all black, so
Mhm.
it works. But another thing is that when it comes to like red light, that should just be good for sleeping. I actually have one of those Himalayan salt lamps too.
yeah. I know those.
And they should also just do some kind of like fancy all electrolyte things they're emitting,
I don't know. I
electrons,
remember
negative
that back in the
ions or
90s.
something, some kind of magical stuff that clears out the air. I actually also bought like a machine thingamajig that does the same thing, but for some reason I unplugged it, so it's not really working when it's not plugged in.
What
But
are they? What are they supposed to do? Can you repeat that?
it
What
I
are
think
those?
it
Yeah.
has to do with negative ions. It
Okay.
like I just had to find the word in my head. But it's like similar to like, you know, the calm and feeling of being near like running water,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
only waterfalls but also just running, moving like river or something, when it
Yeah.
makes those gluk gluk sounds,
Yeah.
because the air is watered or the water is aired, something happens and negative ions happen, and boom, it's clear and happy and good stuff. and
Okay,
here,
I had a different thing, and so when I think about running water, I always think about sitting down and letting my minds. So I was going to running a little river here and sitting down there when I had too much thoughts in my head, and I was letting my thoughts. I was closing my eyes, and letting my thoughts run with the river, and it's always helped me to get calm.
so
That was I
that's
was
more
thinking.
like
I was like,
meditative.
yes, yes, yes.
But yeah, I mean, I do think that like negative ions and like clearing out the air also adds to that feeling. It does make sense that it would also be a good place to meditate, um instead of like an office where all the air has been wasted and used up, and it's just like you feel like you're choking.
Well, the thing for me in that case, I haven't heard about the iron thing, so I can't say much to that. But for me, the thing with the well, it was just the sound of the flowing river. It was pretty easy to hook my thoughts that I think about the whole time. So I just trying to explain it because it's always hard to explain a thought with it. So I think the best way to describe this is just to hook all the stuff you think about the whole time to the river and it flows away, and you hear the river the whole time and kind of was making me stop thinking. So that was basically because, yeah. I don't know. I just remember that now. I haven't heard about that iron thing, but I remember that back in the 90s, tons of my friends had these salt crystal lamps, and I like the light, but that's all I know.
Mm. Like I don't know how much. I just like I'm not I live in the basement, right? And so it gets very icky with the air, and like
Mhm.
I must admit I'm not the best at like opening up windows and shit. So it was just like my way of using a cheat code there. But like I just think that it it's a good way of drawing attention to that too. Like it's gonna sound ridiculous, but maybe that also helps me realize I should just open the window more, right? But basically the lamp is also just there for like it has a low what do you call it? Like it doesn't have any of the blue light. I actually also have like I call my what do you call that, bed desktop thingy, my bed light. Would you
What
call
my
it that? I
bed
call that
desk something.
the porn light because I have just installed red LEDs
Est-ce
in
que
it
prendre
instead
scène
of
était
like the
apparemment
ones that
discret
came
entre
with it.
griffes et
So
Mm,
every time
okay.
I turn it on, it's just my entire room is all red. It's just hilarious. But that's also to block out the blue light, of course. Like if I have to go up and pee or something in the middle of the night, and obviously I put on my glasses too, but it's light there without the blue light. So
Yeah, I think the so when I bought the glasses, they weren't. So most people said that, but they weren't sure scientifically. I'm not sure. I just posted the documentation on the YouTube chat. Some
yeah.
parts are so it's German, but some parts are English. So it's all translated to German, but some of the I think one of the guys speaks English, so you can understand, and the other speaks French. I think so you can't. But yeah, that's what I was talking about. I think the blue light stuff now is proven, but I don't know, so don't quote me on that. I haven't read any new studies. When I bought it, I think it wasn't sure, but well, for me it works definitely. So I needed a few days to kind of get it because obviously it looks a little bit different, not a lot, but a little bit. If
I
you
mean,
so if you have a desk job, honestly, I would suggest you try such a thing. I mean, I don't know how it's in other countries, but in Germany, if you don't like something, you can just send it back in between 2 weeks. So you can just test something 2 weeks, and if you don't like it, send it back. No one cares.
but like something I also can mention is that like this weekend I've been at my boyfriend's place, right? And like I have been off of the screens then. Like and I can feel I'm much more tired. Like I can obviously also point towards like for instance us not really wanting to go out because it's very warm, because it's the summer now and we don't want to melt into puddles of people. But there is also that factor, I think, that that I'm not being well subjected to all those light stuff from these screens as usual when I'm just sitting at home on my computer, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny that so on the one hand, obviously light is a good thing. If we don't have light, we couldn't see anything now. It's pretty obvious,
Yeah, and
isn't
we
it?
would.
But on the other hand, it's also so probably messes up our natural circle and probably has
Mm,
over a long time. On the other hand, the government obviously needs it because, well, if it's dark a certain time, it's cool that you can see the stars, but there's still people that have to work, and if they don't see anything, what are they
Yeah.
supposed to do? And on the other hand, that was also in the documentation. It was an interesting point. They were talking about places that are where there are cameras the whole time, and obviously they need light because camera can't see anything if there's no light. And
mm.
then, as they said before, they were saying, yeah, so there have been studies all over the world, and when you have light everywhere, the criminal rates kinda. So it's kind of like the criminal rates go down in that area a little bit, and people feel safer.
Yeah. I mean, I totally understand that. Like you also kind of like isn't that like the classic
Yeah, but
scary
it's,
movie creepy thing like the bad guy is hiding in the shadows, right? And then jumps out and kills the person.
yeah,
Boom.
but that's I mean, I suppose that's I always gotta think about that because with so many, okay, not so many, that sounds so bad, but with a lot of girls that were at my place or that were, so I live near the forest and I have been for a longer time, and it's always like, for example, when somebody goes and they want to go to the bus station. So there are two ways. The one way is a lot longer and it's over the street, and the other way is through the forest and it's dark. And it's like all the girls are like, so even longer times, oh, it's scary. We shouldn't go through the forest when it's dark. And I'm like, why? And it's like, cause there may be a guy trying to harm
Like
us. And
an
like,
axe
if there's
murderer.
a fucking guy trying to harm you, he won't be in the forest because nobody apart from me goes for the forest. He will wait somewhere where there are people. He won't be in the forest. I can promise you. I've been in the forest my whole life, also during
But like
night. It doesn't make sense. So it's
the
like,
big the big question
what
here is
fucking woman goes in the night through the forest? And that's the thing that I found so many times, and this is what I had to think about where you were telling, because I was like, it's always like, okay, can you get me from the bus? And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. And it's like, so this also, I remember at my last workplace, so when I had late shift, one was like, okay, can you bring me to my car? And I was like, yeah, I can, but you know where we are here. There are 50 people living here. They are all 60 plus. Um, it's not like
those are the most
somebody will jump you. So there are two streets, and one ends in nothing. So only the people that live there, and the other side is, well. So it's like really, nothing bad happens there. The worst things that happened there happened there because of my work, because of the people that were at my workplace that we were caring for, and the people working there were still okay. Please bring me to my car. It's only 5 minutes, but I'm so scared because it's dark outside. It's a strange thing. So it's
I,
also after you.
I just want to say that I think there's a difference. Like, of course, if you weren't there, um, I understand that the girl would feel uncomfortable. But like if you were to follow her, I think that would be fine. Like I don't think I would be scared. I would feel crap about walking that dark forest. I just in general walking my way to the bus after visiting a guy or when I have to go visit a guy, I would feel like devaluated in some kind of way. I like that's a personal thing, I guess. Um but I'm
Well,
like the kind of person who also goes to the train station and pick up my boyfriend. It's
I
just
haven't. Yeah, okay, that's the thing. I maybe have to lay out a little bit better what I mean with going through the forest. So the way is the same, and the path through the forest is literally a shortening, and it's probably 2 minutes. It's not longer, so it's not like you go a long way or something. It's just dark. That's all. So that's the difference, and yeah.
But did you walk them?
Well, not always. Sometimes depends. I mean,
Such a gentleman! Oh my god!
I mean, I wasn't escorted the whole time, and I also didn't care. But to be honest, if I would be asked, I would do it. Otherwise, I'd do it a few times, and then, well, I don't always. No.
I mean, then you would feel like, oh, she knows the way now.
Yeah, sure.
Or, wow.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
judging you so hard.
yeah, that's good. I have no problems with that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a whole other beast. That's a little bit cliche gentleman stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not good at that thing, but I'm good at the opposite. So
You're the bad boy, and the girls get the bad boy who doesn't follow them to the train station.
no, it's like I remember, for example, when I was going out a lot, which has been some time, but on the parties and clubs, and so the usual thing was that there were desperate guys giving drinks to girls to talk to them, and I remember that I sometimes, okay, not all of them, so maybe not all are desperate, but that was the usual thing, so the gentleman thing. And I never did that. I was the one getting drinks, so I never cared. I never gave a fuck, and I was always pretty good with the opposite. So yeah, I don't care. So it's not.
I'm still not following. Did you get the drinks from the men?
Yeah, no, from the girls, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't do that. But I was mostly do the opposite. What was gentleman style? Just like didn't like that and was like, okay, fuck that shit. So not because I devaluate somebody or something, but I always thought about it. Oh fuck, I won't put my cape on this part of rain so you can walk over it and think, oh, he's so cool, and the next day he will come on a white horse and get me. So I was always like a little bit.
I mean, to be honest, if you could just walk around the puddle, why not just walk around the puddle, right?
Yeah, I'm really pragmatic about it. And always when I got hit with such an, oh, would you give me a drink? I was like, why the fuck should I give you a drink?
And then they got interested.
Yeah, but he gave me a thing, and they would get interested, and in the end giving me drink. It was kind of funny.
But yeah, I totally agree on that. With like you have to stay true to yourself. Like I don't know you that well, but it doesn't come as a surprise to me that you would not like walk the girl there. And if they were there to meet you, I think they would be able to understand and comprehend that maybe you're not that kind of guy. And so there seems to have been maybe some kind of what do you call that? Like someone thought something was gonna happen, which was clearly not gonna happen.
Yeah, I think there's just in general there's too much interpretation and just okay, how stupid is it to say somebody is worth it or not if he. So let's start another way. If you want something, first start is maybe ask for it. If you're disappointed by something, maybe point it out. So if you expect, and I'm also bad in this in some points. So this is why I started saying about the the German virtues and liking time appointments and stuff. So I'm not free of this, but it's like, you know, you always expect certain things, and it's pretty stupid to rule somebody out because he doesn't fulfill something that you expect without him or her even knowing about what you expect. Yeah. This happens a lot in life, and this is just a example in which it's pretty standardized with which I mean most people think the same. Oh, you should be gentleman. Not saying that this is even bad or a good
Yeah,
thing.
I totally get where you're coming from on that. Like, if like I would also like I think this is like a very specific thing, of course, but like if I were in that situation, I would probably just go out and tell you, you know what, this means a lot to me. Um, I need you to follow me to this station. Not only because I feel more safe when it's dark, but also because I like feeling and knowing that you're taking your time to do that or whatever. Um,
Congratulations, I would take you to the station.
yeah, exactly. But just as you said, like you can't expect people to understand where you're coming from if you're not trying to tell them.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
none of us are mind readers.
yeah,
And as far as I've come to learn throughout my 24 years on this planet, it helps a whole fucking lot with getting rid of all kinds of misunderstandings if you just speak your mind, or like just going into something without actually forcing things on people, or just expecting, oh, this is your motive for doing this and that.
yeah, yeah.
Because it's so easy to, like, I think, I don't know, maybe we're just very skeptical, but it's like for some reason the pattern in the head is always, oh my god, so he doesn't walk me to the train station, he probably doesn't love me for reals or some shit like that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
when in
exactly.
reality it's just like, I just didn't think about that. I didn't know that you would feel like that about that or whatever, right?
So in my stupid head would be, okay, I walked you there 5 times. I thought you know the way by now. Oh, he's
Yeah,
thinking about
exactly.
romantic stuff. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My
Yeah, but
bad,
that's
you
the
know.
thing.
It's like
And then the next question is, well, was it supposed to be a romantic thing? Like, if then it's like, I guess if you as the girl in that situation say, well, I value this makes me feel loved by you, then it also just is a very great way of asking, well, just starting the conversation of like, what the fuck are we? Are you like, because then you also bring that to the table.
identify
Like,
as a bus. Please come in. I will take you home. What
but
are
but
you?
but
Sorry.
but it's a great way of yeah, just eliminating all those kinds of also things that can break a relationship, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of relationships are broken that way, by expecting things
Not even
and
just
assuming
relationships.
things.
Also friendships. Also
Yeah,
even
yeah, definitely.
open. Not even relationships. Just people briefly knowing each other and hating the other because of something they think the other person meant with something or stuff like that. So
Right.
Oh well,
I
far
remember
from
that one of my
throne.
best friends, we hated each other because of one moment when we met. And we hated each other a few years, and then we met on a party, and oh fuck, we really like each other. And we became best
Mhm.
friends. And we met one time before, when we were on a party, and we were on the bus. So in my town there's a so once a year there's 1 week party in the town basically, and it's a big thing, and the whole youth is there, and buses are crowded when you go back and stuff. And I was there with a girl, and he knew that girl also, and we went back, and I think we were both really drunk, and we were sitting behind him, and I was dropping my bottle, and it landed on the seat beside him, and he was getting angry, and I was like, what the fuck, I was drunk and dropping it, didn't even hurt you, and we were just, you know, it didn't make sense. We were probably both 16 or 17, and we were both, fuck you, stuff like that. And when we met 3 years later, we're talking, and we're like, hey, fuck, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, let's do something. And we became best friends. And I think there are a lot of these things. I mean, this is a special case in that way. It can happen a lot easier just when you expect something from a person. Like, yeah, as I said, I'm a good example in this case. I mean, I said that, but I have pretty high expectations. to be honest. To So I fulfill my expectations on my own, but I also have high expectations, and in real life more than now. But it's like than online, but obviously, but it's like when something happens that goes against them, then I tell the person, hey, I don't like that. I have this principle. I won't do that. So please don't do that. And if the person does it 3 times, I will never talk to them again. It's pretty brutal, and it doesn't even make sense regarding what you said. So I should be more forgiving, probably, but it's probably I would say it's probably a defensive stance after getting hurt a few times with being not so brutal about holding my principles.
Hmm.
And afterwards, I decided to just do it, and then it kind of worked. And obviously, it comes to points where you're even pissed yourself because you really, for example, you really like someone, but then you have to. So for me, I have then to see, okay, but I got really fucked up by this. I got fucked up by this so often. Okay, now I have to call it quits. So,
Hmm.
but obviously, this is something everybody has to see for themselves. But
Yeah.
yeah, just wanted to say I'm totally not free of that, and I have really high expectations, especially in real life. But I say it and say it out when it happens the first time, and I see if the people change. And if they don't, if it's too important for me, then I just call it quit there. Cause yeah,
Yeah, you really have to just like people are even your friends and your relationships and your family. Everybody's going to do something you don't like. You just have to judge: is that so important to you
yeah.
that you want to break off your contact with them, or if it's just something that irritates them. And of course, from their side, they need to see, oh, if you said you do something that they don't like, and try to like not do that as much.
Hmm.
If like if if I like, let's say we're doing the podcast, and let's say I'm eating, so you can hear me eating whatever chips or something like that, and Fool says, can you stop eating during the podcast? And if I keep eating, like, I'm not really accommodating Fools.
Hmm.
So that would show that I don't really care about the podcast, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's one thing. Like, there has to be some kind of like you have to talk about it, and people have to say, oh yeah, I'm doing something that annoys the other person. I need to, like, if I value that other person, I need to stop doing that as much as I can, and then the other, stuff like that. It's just like, I don't know. It feels like we don't really we're our culture really doesn't, like, we're not open and honest about those kind of things. I guess
Yeah.
we expect people to kind of know that, but we don't say that, and
Yeah, and
it's
it's kind of taboo to point out things for some real reason.
Yeah,
yeah,
because people feel because nobody does it anymore, and then people feel like, oh fuck, he got me.
Yeah.
yeah,
Or oh fuck, they hate me for some reason.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's even better. Yeah, it put
Where it's like,
even better
no,
put.
they
Yeah,
just said that you were being stupid. And I mean, I think when it comes to all these kinds of like assuming things that we were talking about earlier, it's also like it's like it in some kind of weird way. I think of it as people thinking of other people as being inhuman, like they want people to be perfect.
right, right,
Whereas, like, there's also that thing where you have to realize, okay, this person is human. They cannot read your mind. So if you want them to change or if you want to talk about things, you kind of have to mention shit because
yeah,
else we're not going anywhere. Like,
but
even if it's someone who really likes you, if like I take it as a big show of both trust and what do you call that? Just just being a good friend that they actually either like on either side either that they say, you know what, this saddens me, can you stop doing that? Or on the other side of things, that when I say something saddens me and I'm like, hey dude, it would mean a whole fucking lot to me if you wanted to follow me to the train station, and they do it, um like that's it kind of builds a friendship or a relationship or whatever,
yeah, yeah,
because it also leads you to know, how do I show this person that I care? What, it's kind of also tying into like, have you heard about the 5 love languages?
Nope.
It's
No.
basically I don't remember them completely, but it's I think it's mainly designed for couples and people who love each other and like kisses, smooches, but it's basically a way of like kind of, it's designed as a quiz to see like, how do you um what, like, how do you receive valuation, or what do you perceive as a way of showing affection and valuation of you, or value, or whatever. And so it doesn't serve as to have the two people match, like that's okay, then you just completely understand, I guess. But it's a way of figuring out, like, if I want to show my boyfriend that I really love him, does he feel that mostly if I touch him and like give him a massage, or just pay attention to his
Yeah.
like physical needs, or does it have to do with spending a lot of time with him and getting into understanding, like asking about his day, or is it
Yeah.
about giving him gifts now and then, or whatever? Like the
It's
whole
totally different
idea.
for persons. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But like it's the idea is basically to put it into light. Like, how do I show you the way that fits your way of feeling that I love you?
I
And
remember.
I really like that idea, because it makes it so that you don't, because I think a lot of people think, oh well, this is how I feel valued by another person, so of course I'm gonna do the same to the
Yep.
person I love.
Yep.
And
Yep.
maybe they have a totally different love language, and they're just sitting there like, what the fuck are you doing, why are you doing that, that's just annoying maybe, or I don't see a reason to do that.
Yeah, I agree on that. That's I experienced that myself a
Mm,
few times, different ways. For example, I had one girlfriend. We were together a really short time, and kind of slided into that as most of my life. But it was like, well, after a time, I got pretty bluntly about saying what I like and what I don't like and stuff, and even trying to scare to scare people away before and
Mhm.
stuff. Well, still, that's not the point. In that case, and I told her I was getting so annoyed because she was asking me every day how my day was, and I was getting so annoyed. She was she was also
Mm.
phoning me every day. And, hey, how was it? What are you doing? And I was so annoyed by that. I was really it was really hard. I mean, the hardest thing was that I told her before that I don't really like that. So
Yeah.
that's too much for me. So it was
mm,
like for example, I have a stressful day and then I come back and then I'm home and she knows that I'm home and I start playing a game and then it starts again and I really liked her, but every day was getting so on my nerves. It felt like something I had to do, like.
yeah.
So sometimes I don't want to talk about my day and I just want to live my day, and it's not like I have. It felt like it felt so forced, kind of,
Mm,
for
Yeah,
example.
and at that
And
point, I
she
think
wanted, and last point, and she wanted that exactly like Susan said. That was what she expected, and obviously I didn't do it after a certain time. I
yeah,
was so annoyed. No, sorry, Brigham.
yeah, and at that point, like we say hindsight is 2020. Like if you would have known what we know now, then you would have spoken up and said something different. But like you
Sure.
said, well, I don't like to talk about my day so much, and then she kept going at it. But like I think one thing you could have said differently at that time is saying like, can you just change the subject? Can you like tell me what your day like? Because I've had this stressful day. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about
mm.
it. Like, please, like, can we talk about something else? I want to change. Stop thinking about my day. But like, you don't really like think about that at the time. Like, you could have.
No, obviously, especially when you're younger, you're often in the moment and you just
Right, right,
act emotionally before even
Yeah.
knowing
right.
what's up with you. You just know I'm annoyed and you just do something. And when you're older, you understand how you work and why you do something. But oftentimes when you're young, and slid into relationships you don't, and you have to obviously you don't have experiences also when you have your first relationship, so you don't even know how such things work most of the time.
But I guess a good idea for anyone in a relationship being that new or like I mean old or young people, it's just tell the other person how you're feeling because like I'm the kind of person who also thinks like take for instance the other day I was speaking with my boyfriend and I asked him something like we were on Discord, right? And I asked him something and like we were on cam and stuff and he just didn't answer. And I was just sitting there awkwardly like, "Are you what?" And he was just looking at his phone and I was like, "What? What?" And I felt so hurt, right? And so I was like starting to think like what is happening? Also because he's not that type of guy, right? And then at some point I just asked him, are you there?" Or like, "What?" And he was like, "What?" And he totally didn't hear me. And like by actually like I just told him like, "But why are you not answering?" And he's like, "What? I didn't hear you." And what? But that kind of thing also is just a good thing because it's saying like I also told him that well it hurt that I felt like you were just ignoring me.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh my god, I would never ignore you. What the fuck?" And
I think
just like
we're back to the level that's missing because of the chat, because obviously if you know you wouldn't even, I think if you're in the same room, you would speak
yeah.
about it earlier and not start
Yeah.
thinking about why doesn't he answer, and so I'm
Yeah.
just thinking, I'm not sure this, but I think so.
Yeah, online is definitely a whole other kind of situation.
Yeah.
I guess also because like I I don't know if you can say it's a belief, but I'm the kind of person I feel vibes a lot. Like even though words aren't said, I feel things. Um and so it would be a thing that would also be felt in the situation. And I'm sure he would be able to feel that too. Like even like but it would be easier to tune in on or feel if it was just in front of the other person, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
in
I'm sure
real
you're in
life.
the same room. How does a feeling translate through an internet cable? I'm not
Yeah,
sure this works
exactly.
so good.
And also there's the whole thing that like I guess one of the reasons why I also like understood that it was a misunderstanding is because I know that he has a headset that cuts off sometimes because it's wireless and stuff, right? So it made sense. Whereas like I mean it could totally also make sense in real life if he was too caught up in something that he didn't really listen.
What's
Because like
also a
when
thing about this? Sorry, I just came. I was thinking about my relationships, and something came up. I'm really sorry. No, that's So I think another important thing. Wait, how do I? So it's also to not only talk about stuff about the different, I don't know, ways to show appreciation or stuff, but also what you want to do in life. I remember we were even together a long time and we still have contact. So a girlfriend of mine, we were together I think 4 years or something like that, and we also lived together and stuff. And so we just wanted different things in life.
Yeah.
And she was looking for someone to reach her goals in life, but her goals weren't my goals.
yeah.
You know, it was like I was happy with living a life together, but I was not interested in taking over her goals as my own. I was okay with helping her with stuff from time to time, but I wasn't. So I go into there 100% and do this every time, you know.
Yeah.
So we were just looking for different things in life, basically,
I
which
mean,
was also an
it does
important
sound
thing.
very egoistic to just think that you're gonna drop your life ambitions for whatever she wants.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it
I mean,
depends, and
that's
it
something you
wasn't
should
like
speak
uh,
about at least.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, you should speak about it. But to a certain degree, often if somebody, for example, even if somebody doesn't even know what he wants, and he's like in a situation, but he likes his friend, or she likes her friend, or he likes his girl, or whatever constellation, and one person doesn't know what he wants, the other person knows it for certain. It kind of depends. Obviously, there are different things. I mean, I separated from my last girlfriends in different reasons, but also during the last time, for me, it has often been because girls want children, especially in this age. I mean, I'm in my mid-30s, so it's like, I say it bluntly, it's the last chance for a lot of girls if they want a child. So, and and obviously this is a pretty big decision, and I'm sure that I don't want. But it's then still happening a lot of times that at the beginning you don't know what the other person wants, and in the beginning you don't talk about, okay, I mean, you don't go into a relationship or into a one-night stand that gets into a relationship or whatever and say, I want a child.
Yeah, no.
Because then you don't have a one-night stand. It's just so. And even if you have that, if it doesn't say it, but it's somewhere in the back, stuck in your head,
Yeah, it's one of those things that you don't say, but you know that it's gonna be a subject one day if this works out or whatever.
Yeah, and no matter what this is. So, for example, I have another friend, and he knew that his parents were ill and they lived in another country, and he knew, okay, I will have to go there during the next years and want to care for them for the last years. So then he didn't say anything, and then it happened, and then he had to ask his girlfriend, Stuff like that. There are tons of different things. And also stuff you don't think about till it's too late, obviously. But yeah, that's also just, I wanted to add that's also an important thing, independent from a language or love of stuff about what you should talk about if you want to have a long-term relationship.
Yeah, it's like not something you can just like say early in the relationship, right? Like when you start talking to kids, like you might freak out the other person. Like
exactly. I would be away over 200 miles in one day. I mean,
to be honest, I think it would make a lot of sense to, like, if you were to date someone or whatever. I'm not gonna be your dating advisor here, but I think it would make sense also due to the age you are in, to just be honest up front and be, well, I'm not looking into getting kids, because I know this is a subject that women care about in this age. Like,
I agree, and I'm also totally doing, but it's the same for women. You don't do that at the start. It's not something when you get together. So, okay, let me phrase that another way. So always when two people get together, except in the way that I like it, then the start is always like a little bit magic. There's a lot of energy, it's magic, and you are really happy and looking for the other one and stuff. And so for me, in my experience, that's cool, and that's the best feeling. And also you have to, it's good to talk about stuff, but in this first phase, that's not the phase to talk about, okay, by the way, I don't want to have children, and also last time I lived together with my girlfriend, she was getting on my nerves, so I really want to live together. I'm just exaggerating, but that's not the time. The first time is the time to feel, and then there comes the time if it's serious to talk about such things. But you just, I mean, I have done different things. I also, as I said before, I had a lot of phases where I was like, well, a defensive call, and it's like just trying to scare women away before something serious happens, because you don't want it. Yeah, I know you say you want it, but I'm sure you don't want it. You don't even know what you get into. Just exaggerating that. So yeah, I think you're right. You should talk openly about that. But in the first phase, you should fucking enjoy the magic and not talk about such things. But obviously this is different for people. There are people that probably talk about that at the first day, but for me, you would scare me away with starting talking about that stuff. Or every time this happens, a girl starts talking about such things at the beginning, I'm scared away. But well, people are different, and some people obviously want that, and they won't be scared away, and it's good that you talk about that. I would be scared away.
Well, but like I think that's so interesting what you're saying about the magic time or whatever you'd call it.
Yeah.
Because like I totally had the opposite approach to the relationship I'm in now, and like we were very open and honest and like kind of defining what we wanted and didn't want. Like
Yeah, but
we tried
sorry, I gotta
to.
say one thing. The thing with you is you are missing a level. You met online, and so the magic cannot unfold. So maybe to a
Well,
certain
it is
for me,
now.
I don't want to take it down. But if you meet somebody online, you obviously talk a lot of time before, and then maybe one time you do voice calls and stuff like that. That's a different thing. If you meet somebody and are really into it, and for me, but I'm old school when it comes to that, and so it's a little bit, that's a different approach. You can't really even get into that. You could only get into that if you meet somebody online and then directly meet before talking on for me, because you know what are you supposed to do before you see otherwise? You talk a lot about all those things, probably.
Like, are we talking about like like? Of course, I was like madly in love with this guy before we met too. Like, I did have all the funny hormones happening in my brain, making me happy, like that kind of magic.
Um,
Or
well,
because like,
it's like you said before. It's like you said before. If you would have been set together, if he hadn't his headset off, you would have. You said that you can feel that there's a different thing that you understand regarding feelings, and you can't understand it in chat, but you can understand it in real life. And this is the whole level that's missing for me in that case. But I don't
so
want to.
it's
Don't
more
get me wrong. I
about
don't want to play
tension.
down your relationship or anything.
No.
Hell,
Like, I'm just trying to understand. Uh, but I guess it's more about the maybe the tension or like the what do you call it,
it's like
magic about not really
it's
knowing where you have them, but still being in love and
it's
having that feeling of
for
them, like
me.
flirting.
For me, it's like meeting somebody, not knowing them, and then being together in the same place for 3 days, getting to know the other person. And that's obviously different if you don't know the person that, for example, meet somebody at a party of a friend and then see you like each other and then meet up the next day and then hang out 3 days and both being really flashed by, oh, okay, what's even happening? That's totally interesting and stuff. I don't even want to say that's not possible online, but I haven't experienced that in that way. So for me, there's a level missing. I don't want to downplay that, and I don't want to say you can't have that feelings. Don't get me wrong, but it's just in my head because I always had it. It's for me. Okay, how's that supposed to be if this level? I think something is missing, but that's just me. It's not. Don't get me wrong in that case. So
I
again,
guess like what I'm thinking is that, well, like with this guy, we were both very aware of the fact that we actually do not know each other, like because that is not possible over chat, right? Like we can
Right.
get some kind of interest in each other, but we will have to meet kind of as new people when we meet in real life for the first time.
but you have a lot of expectations, and you talked a lot and stuff, and you said before you are in love through the chat before, so it's not
Yeah.
possible to meet as new people, obviously, in that
But,
case.
I mean, of course, it's the same person, but it's in a new kind of way. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
expect myself to fall in love with him again because I knew that maybe it's not gonna work because it's something different.
Hmm.
But I did let
I
myself
don't think so. I
fall in
think that
love.
makes it a lot easier. I think that makes it a lot easier, and also makes a lot of expectations, and even makes it easier to fall into a trap because you you have a lot of things in your head before. Obviously, you know a lot about the person. I mean, but as you said before, you don't know the real deal,
Hmm.
kinda. So But it's just what I'm thinking. As I said, I'm
But
not
I mean, I
don't
would
have
then argue that
experience.
that's what happens with every kind of person you fall for. Like, how are you gonna know who they are in
You don't
reality
know.
before you start
You don't know
dating?
at all. It's just
So,
uh, yeah, you don't know at all. That's right. I was saying that for me, the moment when two people meet in real life and then are together after meeting 3 days. I'm just saying that because I had a few experiences where I met someone and then afterwards we were hanging on each other for 3 days to a week and were, you know, if it was possible, time was, and were surprised by each other and finding out about each other. And
Hmm.
I'm just thinking that it's a different thing if you have that, opposed to meeting someone online, talking to him, and then meeting. I'm not saying it's better or it's worse. It's just what I experienced, and that's why why I'm saying that. So
I think it's kind of the same thing because like Susan talking online, there's you don't really like like she was saying, you don't really know if that person's lying, et cetera, like we all understand with social media on the internet and talking with people on the internet. But once you meet online, or sorry, once you meet in person, like you're gonna talk about a whole bunch of things that you wouldn't have like even thought of to talk about online, and it just flows so much better. And it I
yeah,
think that's where that magic happens too.
hmm. Yeah, and like you get to feel each other, and I'm not
Yeah, yeah,
how
talking
how
especially
how how
like
how wa-
physically, but also vibey.
yeah,
how
yeah.
was the difference for you? So no, I don't want to think into personal details here, but so how was the difference for you to between talking before the first meeting?
Well, I mean, it was pretty awkward at first, obviously, because like, well, it's as I said, like I guess the thing is that it's an actual live person suddenly in front of you instead
Right,
of just someone you call and someone you talk with, and like you can align your camera, whatever. It's not that I'm the kind of person who sits there and align things so that I look perfect, but of course it's different because like suddenly you're there like all the time. It's not like you can tab out and like write another
right,
person while you're chatting with them or whatever, right?
Right.
um but
good
that's
point.
that's also part of being there in the moment with the person. So it's not that it's bad, it's just it's better, but of course it's more intense. But I mean, I would never have met up with this guy if I didn't think it would be a good experience to be with him in a more quote unquote intense way, right? Um,
Yeah.
Mm, wait, does that mean if you wouldn't have thought about him as a potential partner, you wouldn't have meet up with him?
well, I mean, we both met up after agreeing that we were both interested in each other, right?
Oh,
So
okay,
so we were both on the same page in that regard.
okay,
Like it was kind of like, okay, we've been doing so well online now that we're gonna meet up and try and like I guess you could kind of call it a real life date after being in love online. Does that make sense?
yeah, sure,
Um so of course there was that, like I wouldn't, like a positive tension going
Yeah.
on, just like with a normal date. I expect it to be like I have never been on an actual date with a person I didn't know or something,
Hmm.
but basically that kind of feeling of, oh, this is gonna be interesting.
I have also never been on a wait. What is I don't know. So date. That's again like bringing somebody home, you know. So
I
Well,
thought it
no,
was taking them to the
I like
movies and like
yeah,
eating
yeah.
dinner and stuff.
A,
that's
a date
I
is
like
like,
to do
uh
really really spontaneous stuff without thinking a lot about it and without planning, and it seems to work pretty good.
what like you don't say, oh, let's be on this at this place at this time and all like punctual, like you were just saying.
Oh, I definitely, it's like there's a start, and the start is like, okay, let's meet at
So
the
you meet
park
up
this
at the train
evening.
station at 12 o'clock, and then we have 20 minutes to walk to.
we meet in
No,
a
I
dark
mean 2
forest
minutes to walk
behind
to
the
my
free
home.
garden fences.
And if you mention any kind of axe murderer on the way
I'm
to my
out.
house, you're just thrown home. It's just not
And I
gonna
won't-
happen.
And I won't bring you to the station. Now, obviously, there are also
You can
such
walk
things,
the
but
whole way back yourself.
so at the start, because I think that's because I'm a little bit, well, as I said before, like with these standard stuff, like, okay, bring a girl flowers or stuff, I would never, I won't do that. So
Yeah.
I'm
it's
very
kind of
bad at
like,
receiving flowers.
so I had a lot of stuff. It's like with this podcast, what I said with you before. I like to just start, and I don't like to think about it, because I think this gets stuff complicated. I had a lot of great experiences, the greatest in my life, with doing stuff, with forcing myself to do stuff spontaneous and not getting crazy. And in that case, when I meet with someone, it's like a little bit with the podcast. There's one backup plan. It's like, okay, well, I have a friend and he's a DJ and there's a party and we could go there and we're on the list. So if we want, let's just meet at the park and see where it goes. And then mostly it's just like, well, if the weather is good, meet somewhere and start chatting. And then, I don't know, maybe if we get hungry, eat something, maybe go around, maybe meet some people, and everything goes from there. And these are the most beautiful thing that happened. Like, okay, so one time, for example, we were jumping we were jumping in a lake, because in the middle they put little boats where you have to use your feet to move the boat.
Oh yeah.
And they were in the middle, and I was really cold, and I jumped in there and I just got a boat, and then we were driving around on the boat, and then there were people coming and shouting at us for taking that stuff from the sea, and we were taking no, don't call the police, and then going and stuff. But I always had the most fun with just doing stuff without, and just having in the case backup plan. If everything is really bad and it starts raining and stuff, okay, we can go there. So I have some friends sitting around there, and that may be a cool place. And what do you want to do, or do you have an idea? But I never liked the idea of planning too much in such cases. And I also rarely have been interested in stuff like, okay, let's go 2 hours to the movies and stuff like that. So the only thing where I like it is go out to eat, because obviously you have to eat, and you mostly after a time know when you get hungry and stuff. But apart from that, it's like, okay, let's let the chaos rule. At least that's what I prefer. It's obviously not that I say, okay, I can't do anything else, but if I'm to choose, it's mostly, okay, let's meet and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, but I mean, it also just had, I think, a lot to do with what kind of person you are yourself. Like,
I think the most magic happens when you don't think, and that's the reason why I like to do that. And I think
yeah,
most people think too much, and when you do such stuff, it's like, it feels like that most. That's why I said, and it sounds stupid, but I will still say it again. I said that this works great, and this is not. I'm not saying this works great. This works great for all people. This works great because all people need more of just do stuff, don't think so much, and this is where, I think this is the same kind of magic that's like when you meet somebody and you're just doing things and not overthinking stuff and not talking about if you want children or not. It's just like where the magic happens. I can't
but I
explain
guess
it
like when it comes to dating, like I think I'm the kind of person who, like, I'm there to get to know that person. I'm not there to go wild with all kinds of other things. Like, I want to focus on them.
Yeah, sure,
And
but
I'm not
it's not
saying
like,
that what you like is wrong, but I guess it's just about different types of people, right? I mean, I think that there's probably gonna be a perfect girl for you out there who loves to go on these adventures with you because that's what she likes, right?
I mean, it's not that so when you do such a thing, it's not that the whole thing is an adventure, like always. So the thing, jumping in there and getting that stuff, is maybe half an hour of a day. So it's not like
Oh,
that this is the plan. So as I said, the start is mostly just meeting somewhere, and the start is most of the time talking for hours and going to eat and see where it goes. So, but it's not like, I mean, it's not like I have a plan, and it's not like we have to go out for an adventure. This was just an example. So
Oh,
I
okay.
like adventure, yeah, and I gotta agree that different person. There are also obviously persons that you really scare away. I mean, there are a lot of people that are, I remember myself how scared I was from being, what's the word in English? If somebody behaves in a way that the public doesn't like to see, and you're like, oh no, I feel so uncomfortable and stuff like that. So I remember
Like being
myself,
embarrassed?
yeah, being embarrassed,
Yeah.
exactly. So I remember myself, when I was younger, being with a lot of people, and felt kind of embarrassed when they did stuff sometimes, and they weren't doing bad stuff. But like what I said, what I did in that case. So if you jump into a public lake, and there are a lot of people in the park and seeing that, and they are talking about it, but at the end, so for me myself, I found out, okay, why am I embarrassed? They had a ton of fun at the end, and why I'm talking why I back then talked to him, oh, don't do that, because I felt embarrassed. That was fucking egoistic, what I did, because they did the right thing. They just didn't care and they had fun. And later I found out for myself that in a lot of cases, that's it's a cool thing to live in the moment and make experiences and not waste so much time in your head, with things that might not be good or might be good. And that's why I
Yeah.
like to do that. But as I said, that's obviously you also scare people away with such things.
Hmm.
But that's a good case for me. So.
But I mean, I totally agree that you should keep your options open. I mean, I'm the kind of person who, like, for instance, I do like to go to the movies, like movie theater, to watch a movie, and of course, you're kind of bound by that. But what are you gonna do while you're waiting until it starts? Like, you just do what you want, right?
Yeah.
So my last movie was the first, uh, the Lord of the Rings movie, the first. I haven't been to the other two. And
Oh wow.
before my last movie was Armageddon, and before that it was Stargate. So
Yeah.
I'm not often in the movies, I gotta admit. But it's
I
not
can
something that
tell.
I've found. So it's not something that I find bad, but I don't know. These days, uh, yeah, I don't. It's not really my type of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess like maybe during the '90s or something like that. The movie theater for me was like an adventure, right? To go out and get out of the house and go watch a movie and stuff like that. But it just seems like I've changed, and that doesn't seem as appealing as anymore. Especially since you could just wait a while and the movie comes to your PC, right?
And even if you
Yeah.
don't wait, you can just watch it on your PC if you really want. But
Yeah,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mainly do it with stuff that I'm looking forward to. Like, I've
yeah.
been a huge fan of, like, Tim Burton, and
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
I would wait for years until his newest movie would be released or, like, be
Can you tell me a
done
few
and stuff.
names of his movies? Because I heard the names so often, but I don't.
The Nightmare Before Christmas, um, Corpse Bride, Batman Returns, I think it is, the
I
one with
Yeah.
the
only know that. Oh
Penguin
yeah,
Man.
Batman Returns is awesome. Okay, that's a nice. That's from the '90s with the penguin. That's a pretty good.
Yeah, the
That's the
Penguin
last
guy.
Batman movie that I liked. That's pretty good.
Hmm.
And Mars Attacks, and he
I
also
only
did
know Batman so far, but I really like that. So Tim Burton is
Edward
cool.
Scissorhands.
I
But like,
don't
he
know
did all
anything.
kinds of, like, he's just known for being that what do you call that? It's not just weird and wicked, it's a bit off and odd, but he makes it normal or whatever. Like, he plays with it, I'd say.
I think he also did Beetlejuice, which is it
Yeah,
was
Oh
Beetlejuice,
yeah, I know
yes, of
that.
course.
yeah.
Beetlejuice, yeah.
I
And there's
think
like a
we
second movie coming, like, and that's the kind of thing. Like, I'm sitting there, like, right now, waiting for the second movie coming, and I'm so hyped about it, right? Or maybe
honestly
not as
to
hyped as I would be earlier, but like, that's definitely a movie I would go to the movie theater to watch.
I talked about being hyped in my last stream. The last time, honestly, I've been hyped was been for Half-Life 1. It's the only time I recorded I've been hyped. In my childhood, I have been hyped a few times for new games. Mega Man X, I totally remember that, for example. But yeah, it's been a really long time for me to be hyped. I'm sometimes hyped when I get a new thing. So it's like when I did the garden, I was hyped for the new nets coming in the hope of them defending the animals and stuff like that. So I'm hyped for little things also, but rarely for, I don't know, movies or even games. I'm really pessimistic and skeptical because I got disappointed too often, I guess. So it's like when something that I like or that I'm supposed to like, because maybe I like the first two games or the first two movies and there's a third part to come out, it's like I will keep that on my wish list, and when it came out, I won't watch it any trailer. I stopped that shit a long time ago. Fuck all that shit. I will wait till it's out. Then I will wait about a month, and then we will look into when it's a game in the gameplay. For a game, it's like most of the time it has so many bugs at the start, and I don't want to be bothered with any of that. That's why I wait most of the time, at least a month after it came out, and I will look at it if I like it, and I will buy it in case. And yeah, for movies, it's really, really, really rare, kind of. So, the last new movie that I watched was The Joker, because a friend of mine asked me if I would watch the movie with him, and
I haven't even watched that one.
And it was the newest that I watched. I was okay. It was played good, but I don't know. It kind of got me wrong because I was like, okay, I didn't even get why he was the Joker. It could have been another movie. He was pretty good at playing, I think. I don't know what's the name of the actor, but I didn't know why it was supposed to be Joker. But as I said, I'm not really deep into Batman, so it could have been just another movie without Joker for me. I was expecting Batman and other stuff than there was in the movie, kind of. Because the last Batman movie that I saw was the one with the Penguin with Tim Burton, as I now know. So,
yeah, it's supposed to be kind of like a backstory, isn't it?
Well, I don't ask me.
Okay.
So for me, he was good at playing a psychical ill person, but I couldn't care less if this was Joker or anybody else who was a bit displaced for me, but I think everybody liked it, so I'm definitely not someone to hear about. As you heard before, I watched maybe 10 movies in the cinema. So it's not like I'm a cineast or something like that.
But I guess it's like with cinema, like the reason I like go there to watch, like, for instance, a movie, like, for instance, a Tim Burton movie, it's also because, like, I know that it's gonna be a much more, what do you call that, immersive experience. Like, there's much better sound than at home. There's much more, like it's so dark. It's like it's everything has been, what do you call that, created to create this bubble of experiencing this movie.
Apart from children behind you throwing popcorn.
Yeah, but I don't watch that kind of movies where these kids are allowed.
I mean,
where they want to go, I guess.
That never happened to me.
Allowed.
I just had to say it. I think it's a cliche. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing too. But I mean, that's kind of the hazard of doing that. But like, I really, if there's something I'm really looking forward to watching, like a movie, I would feel like kind of sad if I didn't make myself get the opportunity to experience it in a better way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that I undervalue the power of the headset and stuff like that, but it's the same as kind of, I guess, kind of logic of like going to a concert instead of hearing an album at home, right? Like, not because of the sound quality, of course, but for the experience of it.
Yeah.
Getting something out of it that is different than what you would usually get from just being a normal consumer, I guess.
I kind of get it with a concert. Although I gotta say that even on a concert, sometimes it can be bad. I remember, you probably know Jeff Rotile. Do you know the band?
I
I've
don't
heard the
think so.
name, but I don't know the music.
It's a band from the 70s. They are pretty popular, and they did kind of rock music from that time. There are some pretty popular songs. I can just post one afterwards. You can listen to it. It's good music. And I liked a lot of the music from them. And they had a concert here where I went to, and they were already really old. And I went there and it was horrible. And afterwards I thought, I wished I would never gone there and just listen to that fucking studio albums. But in general, apart from that one experience, I totally see what you're saying with the concerts. With movies, I also see it, but for me it's different. For me, it's honestly easier to be at home and really be in a movie and have an immersive experience. But that's just because when I'm going to the movies, I'm always going with another person. I would never go there alone, and it has
I
been a
don't go
really
there
long
alone
time.
either.
So, and also there are a lot of other persons, and then there are persons going in and out during the movie and stuff. There are people eating, people drinking,
I
and
can
for
really
me, all
tell that you've been so unlucky with your trips to the movie theaters.
Yeah.
yeah, we have a really
Because,
good
like,
movie theater at least, but I'm a bit, I don't know. When it comes to this thing, there are some things where where I get easily annoyed. This is also by noises, and that's a hard one for me because there are always different noises in
there's definitely
cinema.
gonna be more noises there.
Yeah, that's a hard one
That
for
makes
me.
sense.
So, but that's just me. So yeah.
But
I don't know.
I
I
can
think
totally get that. Like I mean I can just chuck it off. I guess I mainly just think, oh, like every time something bad happens, like if something like I would call that embarrassing. Like if you had a kid who threw popcorn around or whatever, that's embarrassing in my opinion. And like as much as I'd get annoyed with it, being hit by it, I'd also just be so like feeling a bit blessed that, oh my god, it's not my kid. I don't have to be the one who has that problem. Like
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like the same goes with like my mom told me that she had been in this like I keep calling it movie theater and then cinema and stuff, but like basically she was in there in the big room watching a movie and in the dark you could just hear that rustling of like the like a candy bag thing. And
yeah,
then at some point they finally got it open, and then you could just hear all of these candy
crunch,
like
crunch.
ball thingies roll all over and then just kind of roll
Mm,
down the steps and stuff. And like I'm the kind of person who in that situation, of course it's annoying. I'm not gonna lie and say I wouldn't find that annoying and disturbing to my experience. But on the other hand, I'm also just thinking, oh my god, I'm so happy that wasn't me. Like
yeah.
because everyone knows that when the light goes on, we can all look at the same guy back there and just be like, yeah, you're the one with the candy balls. The rolling candy balls of loudness and judge him,
In the
whatever.
future, your child will sell those candy bars at the cinema.
They're coming back
Gotcha.
for you. The revenge of the candy bars.
You wrote a movie for 100 people, but at the end, you win.
Yeah.
I'm
But
joking,
like
obviously.
I think like I guess maybe I don't have that much of a problem when it comes to
Yeah, I'm sensitive about
sounds
that, honestly.
and movies, mainly also because like I watch movies with my mom for the most part, or like as I grew up, that's what I've been doing, and we always comment on the
Oh my
movies.
god, that's
Like
horrible.
Mm,
like
That's
I'm
so
not
horrible. I
don't
would never
don't
watch a
worry.
movie with you.
Like I don't do it when I'm in the cinema, right? I know how to behave, but like obviously that kind of makes it so that I'm used to there being some kind of background noise or interruptions or whatever. Um like I
Now
can
that this
totally tell that or like I can totally imagine that that would have affected me.
you remembered me about something. I was in a park and there was a 3D cinema, and I was sitting in the 3D cinema, and you have you have these glasses on to see it 3D. And, well, after a time, and it wasn't really a movie, it was just like animals falling off so like you see a mouse climbing on...
Animals falling off stuff, what?
Yeah, nothing horrible. It was just like, for example, a mouse climbing up through something, and there was some food on top, and then it was jumping off the one thing, and it looked like it was falling down, and then at that moment I couldn't see anything more. So there were a bunch of plates, and the mouse looked like it was falling down from 5 plates, so not something bad or anything. And then the woman behind me was having her hand before my eyes because she was trying to help the mouse.
Oh
Oh
no.
god.
Yeah, it was horrible. I was like, what the fuck is happening? I took off my glasses and I was seeing that all people around of me were having their hands trying to help the mouse.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean,
That was
I
my
think,
first 3D.
yeah. Like, and the question is, was that ignorance, or was
No,
it just
that
being able
wasn't
to?
ignorance. It was just that has also been their first 3D experience, but I don't know.
I mean, I guess that it kind of was.
They
a
were more into it
semi-ignorance.
than me. Let's face it.
Yeah,
phrase it
yeah.
that way.
They were more immersed.
Yeah,
They were like
exactly.
cinema people like me.
Yeah.
Like, to be fair, I just want disclaimer. I never like tried to reach out for any 3D objects in the movie. just to.
Yeah, I gotta be fair. So as I said, was a big park where there are a lot of different events in Germany, and it was a long time ago. So probably when 3D was kind of new. So it was not like today where every cinema has a 3D and stuff.
Yeah, now it's like 4D and Cinemax with double X's and shit, and you can
Yeah,
sit
I
in
don't
like
even
a
know what the fuck that
rotating
is.
chair and what?
I don't even know what it is. I fucking still have a CRT, so.
Like, to be honest, I never really got into like the big what do you even call that? AAA cinema rooms. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane like how much they're trying to max it out. And like, I guess if you're really an audiophile, actually I had a boyfriend whose dad, like, I guess he himself also was an audiophile. Like, he kind of built his own speakers and stuff. I don't know how much better they were compared to if he had just bought the things. Like,
Good question.
I mean, maybe I'm just
But cool thing if you can do that. I mean,
audio idiot here or something, but like, totally wasted on my ears. But but like, we went to watch the, what is it called, like the Star Wars number 7, in like one of those magnificent cinemas. And I don't like, I think it was after the movies they told me that, oh, did you feel the magical Cinemax 4DX triple plus feelings in the floor and shit? And I was like, what are you talking about? And it's like, oh my god, these tickets, girl. And I'm like, I just it was just a movie. Like, it was a good movie, but no, I did not get all of that extra triple plus that they did.
as
Yeah.
I said, I don't go to the movies, but I get a feeling with new TVs. I have a lot of friends that have really big and expensive TVs. And it's like, for me, but probably because I rarely watch TV and I have a CRT and I rarely use it. So it's like, I mean, obviously I have PC monitors and they are newer. So they are 24-inch and normal monitors. So nothing that bad. But these new expensive smart TVs, they look like shit
Yeah.
to me. The colors look so, but it's probably because I'm used to the old stuff. So to me, the colors look so sharp that they are really unreal. Everything looks totally unreal on them. And then they have fucking advertisement in them, and they pay thousands of dollars and have a fucking television with advertisement in the menu.
Yeah, that's
That
a
you
weird
can't
one.
stop. That's so stupid. I don't get it at all. I mean, how I'm paying thousands of dollars to get advertisement in my menu, and then even the colors look so. Yeah, but as I said before, I also don't go to the cinemas. I'm not really somebody that has a clue about that, but that's just how it looks to me. Obviously,
Yeah, but I definitely have the same kind of feeling when it comes to that. I I I do think that like in the cinemas I've been to at least that they still do the old school kind of way where they project it from up behind
Yeah.
the audience. But that's also another thing. I don't know how it works today, how much of it is digital. But like for instance, I know that we have like this cutesy little underground or like not big like we have some big chains of cinemas or we just have one basically in Denmark like Nordisk Film but basically we have like one of those underground whatever you'd call it small ones um in Copenhagen, and they show like leading up until Christmas Eve or something, like at midnight. I guess 3 or 4 nights before Christmas Eve, they show the Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's on the old tape rolling thingy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the old school
Yeah.
retro feel of going to the cinema, right?
Yeah.
Um, so there's also kind of a niche in that.
I don't even know how they do it here, but as I said, I haven't been to the cinema so long. I would guess that most cinemas, especially the big ones, do it some kind of electronical way, if it's not
Yeah, it
some
would make
special
sense.
case. But probably there's a niche for some old ones doing it the old way. I mean, in my city, there's one big cinema. They also have cinemas all over the land. But there are also two niche cinemas. One where back then you could smoke in, now you can only eat in and not smoke anymore. And another one that's just really small and they also only show local films. That's the one I'm interested in the most, but also there I've been there 2 times and it's been a long time. But it's cool because you can see films you never hear about and never anybody else hears about because they're kind of local on a budget and sometimes they are made by students that study film and stuff like that. But it's kind of interesting, but these are films that you'll never see anywhere else and they sometimes have really fresh ideas even though they have pretty low budgets.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one of those in Copenhagen too. They show all kinds of weird stuff, but that's kind of why you go there is to watch that
Yeah.
weird stuff, right?
Yeah, I think so too. I find it a
And
little
and
bit
they
more
they show
interesting.
some awesome stuff. Like I've been there a couple of times and been amazed.
Yeah, same. So I was in school with a guy that was really funny, and he made movies with us back then. So just for fun. He was called Christoph, and he teaches film now in another city to students, and did some stuff. And it's funny to look back because back then he, well, basically we were his actors and we were doing like I told you what I would like to do on a date at the start, like with obviously you also talk but you don't have really a plan and see where it's going, and also moments of not thinking and just doing stuff where both go over something to have a I don't know, to have a feeling that you not always have. So and he kind of took us because we were a bit crazy, and he threw a story around it, and that was pretty cool. And he even had a movie back then that's still shown at my old school, that was about the consume during the 50s, how stuff changed in Germany. And well, he was really showing what people that are studying history are supposed to know. But he was showing it with funny clips of us, and it was pretty cool. He was really talented, and
Sounds great.
yeah, that was pretty cool.
So when are we gonna watch that?
Well, I don't think we can watch that because it's shown at my
Oh,
school, but it's not a
oh,
public It's not a
Aw.
public available movie
You
or
didn't
stuff.
get a copy.
No, I didn't get a copy, and I
Oh,
also
that's so
haven't been
bad.
there for probably 20 years. So no,
Oh, that's
20.
so
No, yeah.
sad.
Well, that's not true. Wait, when did I finish? I haven't been there since 15 years. 2005 was the last time I've been there.
You should definitely go back and see it.
Yeah, first I gotta ask, do you still, in history, do you still show Christoph's movie when it comes to consume during the
definitely.
50s? I hope so.
Yeah,
And
that was a
I want to,
masterpiece.
yeah, I want a copy. And he also had one of, that was the last time I was in one of the small movies I was talking about. He had a movie that was really abstract. And I can't really tell you about what the movie was, but it started with a fly. And they was just following a fly that was flying around. And the movie was really abstract. In between there were people that were stuck to the ground, like if they were insects and they were stuck to. Do you know these insect traps that are made with the
Oh yeah,
sticky
like
honey
those
stuff?
sticky, yeah,
Yeah, so it was
fly
a really
traps or
abstract movie. I can't express what it was, and the name was also something with fly. I think a 1 day fly or something like that. And it started with following a fly that flies around and then dies, and then there were abstract pictures towards it. It was a short film. It was about 10 or 15 minutes. And yeah, that was the last movie I watched in that cinema. And it was also the last one, the last time that I saw him, because then he moved cities. And I Googled him a few years later because I was interested in what he was doing, and I saw that he was teaching film at the other city he moved to, which I found quite cool. I can wait. I can maybe I find that he also made an advertisement for a mobile company. I'm just
this
thinking
is
about it.
basically a guy you should start networking with, and then you'll be famous. Basically.
I can tell another funny story. Yeah, I'm yeah, maybe, but I think, I mean, he's far away now, so that time is over. We have done a lot of stuff
He's
before he
totally
got
just
famous.
forgot.
We done tons of stuff before he got famous, and he's in another city now, and he's teaching film. So it's not like he's directing movies or stuff. He's a teacher at a university for film. So it's not like that I also all the stuff has been so, I don't know, I kind of feel like, how would you feel if you know somebody and you were in school with them and you have this history, and then you write that guy, you don't even use social media, so you make an account and you write, hey, do you want to make a movie? I really want to make a movie. You know, I know you don't make movies and you teach film, but I like networking, so what do you... I would feel really strange about it.
I can hit you up with all that retro stuff that is illegal.
What I can tell you, what I found really funny about that guy, before I googled him, I saw him. And there was an interview with him where I saw him. But the interview was not about him. There was an interview with a German rapper, and the interview was in a fitness center. And in the background, Christoph was training. And you gotta know that Christoph is he's not a guy that you see in a fitness center. So he's fat, and he's the totally opposite that you see in a fitness center. And it basically was, I click on the interview because I see what's in the background, and then I see in the foreground a beautiful girl that interviews a totally muscular guy, and in the background there's Christoph trying to do stuff. And afterwards I googled because I wanted to know what he did. Yeah, I think is it that? Yeah, I think I found it. I can show you the video clip at least, and wait, I found this account on Vimeo. Let's see what's on there. So there are previews to his short. There's a preview to his short film as it sees, and a few other, but there are teasers, and they're also German, so obviously you won't understand it, but still I can post that. But I will I'll post it in the podcast channel. So there you can see a few things that he's done. And I haven't seen that on there. As I said, the last time I've seen it was a long time ago.
Oh, there's something with a kitty. I already love it.
I hope. Wait, I'm trying to find a picture so you can imagine
I'm like
him
15
seeing
seconds in and there's no kitty. I
Oh.
don't love it. Where's
Write a
the
hate-
kitty?
Write a hate comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Here's
cute.
I found a picture. It's basically, I will also post in the podcast thing because it's showing where he works and stuff. And so there you see. So this was the guy that I saw in the background of the fitness stuff and his body. Well, yeah, he's not looking when you see two trained people and see him in the background. It was really funny. And it was the first time I saw him in 10 years or something like that. And an online interview of a German rapper. It was really funny. Yeah. Anyway, was a cool guy.
So 0 out of 10, there were no cats. I expected cats. There were none. And like, I'm a cat person. I just received a t-shirt with cats on today, so
Maybe I should ask him how to do thumbnails because he seems to be good at it.
you shouldn't hear this then. Like, because I just said shit about his stuff without cats.
Yeah, interesting. I haven't looked at that for a long time. Yeah, I don't know. If we want to go on, I need a break. I gotta pee.
Oh.
I mean, to be honest, it's getting a bit late, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
probably
that's
wrap
good.
it up, should we?
Yeah, but so then let's wrap it up. I would hand it over to one of you if you want. So
Wrapping it up.
yeah, like in a wrap and then eat it. I don't know. It can mean whatever. It can mean bye. That's it. I'm going now. Or whatever. I haven't. Wait. So what have we talked about
thanks,
today?
Bye.
What have we
It was-
talked
it was-
about today?
It was good. Like we just kind of went around talking about, I think the most interesting part was just talking about how we need to be more open and honest with other people and
Yeah.
how we can't put
cut the bullshit.
And
and we can't just
talking about expectations you have.
expectations, right? And I thought it was interesting that like Susan was saying how we put a bunch of value on social media. When someone posts a picture and it gets a bunch of likes and it's really just a number, and then Fools was saying like, oh, when some girl at the bar gives him a drink and he says no or yes or no or whatever, or vice versa when he offers a girl a drink and she turns him down and he thinks she's this or that based on just the one interaction of
Yeah, of a
receiving a
drink.
drink or not.
Yeah.
And like you've completely written someone off because of that, and like we just put too much value in on these little things there. And I think that's something we need to change.
This reminds
I
me of
agree.
this German song that goes something like Das nonverbale Kommunikation.
I don't know. So the non-verbal communication. I don't know the song, but
Yeah,
That's what-
yeah. It's kind of easy to do that. But
that's
yeah.
a song about communication. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
But
non-verbal
since it is-
communication is really, really important and is a lot bigger than you think. I mean, you can say a lot to a person without even saying something to a person. You know, I
But
just
the
can look at
problem
a
is that-
person. I can just look at a person and the person will feel something.
But
I
like
can
the
also
problem
not-
is that usually, or in a lot of cases, I guess, we're just so fucking good at not reading it correctly.
Yeah.
Like you know that like there's this like I don't know how long that's been, but you know that trend of like, no, I'm not angry. This is just my resting bitch face right now.
Wait, what?
Like,
No, I don't. Wait, I'm
You
not
don't know
angry.
that
This is
one?
just my. No. This is
It's
just my
basically
what?
just it's just my resting bitch face. Like,
Okay.
like if there's something that
That you
like
bitch
I
about,
have
and then you
had
have such a face.
if there's something I've had a problem with, it's people thinking I'm either sad or angry when I'm just not
Ah, okay.
actively smiling.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get what you mean now. I understand. Yeah,
And
okay.
so that's a point where people can get very confused, or they can interpret me as being very fucking mad, whereas I'm just like, no, I don't want to hurt my fucking cheekbones.
Right, just
Like,
sitting here smiling at nobody, right? Yeah.
yeah,
I feel that.
yeah.
I really like that expression, my resting bitch face. I gotta use that somewhere. I really like that. I gotta keep that and integrate that into my English. I like that. But I feel what you're saying. I had a so that's really strange. I'm pretty good at reading other persons. Not often. It depends on person to person. Obviously, you're not always right, but most of the time I'm pretty good at seeing what a person sings, and most of the time I'm saying it. And oh, how do you know? So, but on the other hand, I myself often look totally different than I feel, and then I think that I look. And I
Yeah.
remember even of some good friends telling me stuff like, "Wait, are you angry? No, I'm not angry. What the fuck? You look like it." Okay.
Yeah.
So I sometimes can't control how I look, obviously, or I don't even think about it. And why should you think about what you look? I mean, it doesn't make sense at all. But sometimes I look different than I feel, and I had some funny situations with that. But as we said before, sometimes you don't have funny situations about that, but because people just think, okay, he's angry, there's better not talk to him or speak to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
you guys
Okay.
ready to wrap it up? End it?
Unless didn't we just do that?
I thought
I guess we just went
we
into
tried
a
and we failed.
tangent.
Yeah, I mean, we're just
Tangents
saying
are
something. We
scary.
never know what the fuck is wrapping up. I will eat a wrap now, and then it's done. Something like that. Who knows? What
Yeah.
even does wrap mean?
I mean,
Wrap
I
it up
think
like to
kind of
finish
like
it.
a present.
Yeah.
You
So
wrap it up.
it's like I have so many words that I kind of feel what the meaning is, but I don't know, and then I say them like wrap it up. It was just like it felt right, but I don't know the definition. But anyway, that's a topic for another time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was fun. And yeah, let's see. Maybe we have time next weekend or the next time, and I hope we can make it the next time without chaos. We have 2 times with chaos, 3 times with a little bit chaos. That's at least I hope so. We will see.
So,
Okay.
we're planning, I guess, next Sunday about this time.
I would be down. I would honestly,
Okay.
in general. So Susan, are you over the weekend away? If you're at home in general, or both of you at home and not doing something on the weekend, in general, I would mostly prefer Saturday. But otherwise, I'm
Saturday?
fine with Sunday.
Okay.
Just in case you are at home and not
Yeah.
anywhere else.
I'm gonna figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all good.
So
Okay.
I'll just write in this podcast channel thing.
That's secret. Don't tell anyone. Doesn't exist. This channel.
I mean, I'll just write in private.
Okay. That's fine. Okay. So thanks everybody, and have a nice evening. And yeah, maybe hopefully see you next week with we don't know what, as always. Bye bye.